Chapter 3379, Dilemma Chi. The terrifying piercing force of the blood-red light shattered the defense on the purple-clothed girl's body almost instantly. Then, it continued to attack the purple-clothed girl's protective armor. Although the armor did not shatter, however, the piercing force crazily attacked her divine body. The purple-clothed girl's body trembled crazily, and 80% of her divine body collapsed on the spot. Although it did not completely collapse, as a principal's master, 80% of her divine body collapsed. It took her more than 30% of her divine power to recover in an instant after the collision with Jian Wushuang. The purple-robed girl was so frightened that she immediately retreated to the side. As for Jian Wushuang, after he successfully fought with the purple-robed girl, he disappeared again. The principal's masters nearby could not sense his position and could not surround him. "He's with you." Longyu spoke again and immediately informed the other principal's masters of Jian Wushuang's position. However, as soon as she spoke, Jian Wushuang immediately changed his position. Although she could sense it at the first moment after she sensed it, she spoke it out from her mouth and finally made the other principal's masters realize it. There was obviously a time difference between them. Although the time difference was very small, it was enough for Jian Wushuang. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In the void, Jian Wushuang relied on the shadowless escape art to conceal himself time and time again. Then he attacked again and again at lightning speed. Although Longyu had whammed him at once, the reaction of the principal's masters was still half a beat slower. And this half a beat forced them to face Jian Wushuang's attack head-on. Moreover, Jian Wushuang's speed was too fast when he used the shadowless escape art. Longyu had been trying to catch up with him. As long as she could fight with Jian Wushuang would not be able to conceal himself anymore. The other principal's masters could also attack, but the problem was that Longyu could not keep up at all. She could not keep up with Jian Wushuang, so she could only keep reminding him. However, the reminder only prepared the principal's masters and gave them some reaction. In other words, although there were many principal's masters present in the supreme emotion-forgetting valley, they could not surround Jian Wushuang at all, nor could they join hands. They could only passively wait for Jian Wushuang to kill them again and again. Jian Wushuang had severely injured 3 principal's masters' divine bodies and depleted a lot of their divine power. If this continued, the principal's masters' divine power would be depleted more and more. Heavenly Sword Marquis, if you have the ability, fight us head-on. Longyu could not help but shout, "Humph, what a joke! You have 7 principal's masters ganging up on me, an immortal saint, and you want me to fight you head-on? Longyu, are the people of your supreme emotion-forgetting valley all so shameless?" Jian Wushuang scolded her coldly. Being scolded by Jian Wushuang on the spot, Longia's face was extremely ugly, but she could not do anything about it. Indeed, they had already outnumbered them. It was indeed a little shameless of them to ask Jian Wushuang to fight them head-on at this time. However, if Jian Wushuang continued to rely on the shadowless escape art to fight them, they would be too passive. If this continued, the 7 rule masters would be forced to retreat. At first, Longyu knew that Jian Wushuang was hard to deal with, but she did not expect him to be so hard to deal with. At first, she had called Master Gorsh for insurance, but now, Master Gorsh was not in a good situation, let alone helping them to suppress Jian Wushuang. Longyu had noticed that in the surrounding void, Demon Master Chenhua, who was fighting Master Gorsh, had put on a golden-red glove. The golden-red glove gave off a terrifying destructive aura. It was an extremely powerful, true treasure. In terms of level, it was probably a top-tier, true treasure. Previously, when Sinking Fire Devil Master fought with the all-out Gorse Master with his bare hands, he was able to push back Gorse Master and put him in an extremely difficult situation. Now Demon Master Chenhua had taken out a top-tier true treasure weapon. Once the power of this top-tier true treasure was added to it, it was enough to let Demon Master Chenhuo's power reach a whole new level. Sure enough, Demon Master Chenhua, who had put on the golden fist gloves, had only attacked 3 times in the following fierce battle. She had not used any powerful techniques or trump cards, and she had fought head-on. However, Master K could no longer withstand it, and their godly body had obviously suffered a lot of damage. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Too powerful. This Demon Master Chenhuo's current strength has definitely reached the peak of the 6 states of the void. I'm afraid he's only 1 step away from reaching the pinnacle of the 6 states of the void and grasping 7 portions of the power of will. Furthermore, his innate talent is extraordinary and his killing ability is terrifyingly strong. I'm completely not his match. Just now, my divine power has already been depleted by nearly 30%. If this continues, I'm afraid it won't be long before my entire Bodhist divine power is depleted. Master Gorsha's face was extremely ugly. She was trying to find a way to resist the Demon Master's crazy attack while sending a message to tell Longyu about her current situation. She wanted Longyu to think of a way quickly, but what could Longyu think of now? They were not in the nest of the supreme emotion-forgetting valley. They could not use any powerful restrictions or magic arrays. They could only rely on their own strength. In terms of strength, they were obviously not as strong as Jian Wushuang and the Demon Master. The question they faced now was whether to continue fighting or retreat. They could not win either fight. If they retreated, they were afraid that Jian Wushuang would kill the suppressed Master Zhu Xian and Han Xian. In other words, they were now in a dilemma. Although Longyu was the Valley Master of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, she did not know what to do. However, just as Longyu and the others were in a dilemma, a figure suddenly appeared around the battlefield. Stop! The voice was a bit hoarse, but it was quite gentle. It was like the morning sun in winter, warming people's hearts. The experts of both sides, the principals masters of Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, who were fighting fiercely, were shocked when they heard the voice, and then they became ecstatic. As for Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua, they were also shocked. The voice was very calm, as if it could confuse their minds. They could not help but stop what they were doing. The fierce battle was held up because of the voice. The principals masters of Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, including Master Gorse and Longyu, rushed to the figure who suddenly appeared and bent down. Greetings, Old Lord. Chapter 3380. The Old Lord Longyu, as well as the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley's principals masters, all had their heads lowered and were extremely respectful. Even if it was Master Gorsh, who had already reached the 6th level of the void, in front of this person, he did not have the appearance of an expert at all. Regardless of whether it was his expression or gaze, they were filled with unprecedented respect and fanaticism. This was very normal because the person who had arrived was their old master. He was the greatest reliance of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, and also their greatest pride. All rise. A hoarse and gentle voice rang out once again. Master Gorsh, Longyu, and the others raised their heads and looked at their old master. This old master was extremely thin and weak. She was probably only 5 meters tall, appearing somewhat short. She had silver gray hair and wore a coarse and loose linen robe. She was holding a Kirin walking stick in her hand. Her face was full of wrinkles, and her eyes were completely sunken. Only a line could be seen. It was difficult to associate such a thin, weak, and frail old woman with the word expert. But everyone present knew clearly that this old woman possessed earth-shaking strength. Is she the old valley master of the supreme emotion-forgetting valley? Jian Wushuang stood there with a solemn gaze. He looked at the old woman and was a little shocked. Heavenly Sword Marquis, we're in trouble. Demon Master Chenhua appeared beside Jian Wushuang and said in a low voice, "The old valley master of the supreme emotion-forgetting valley is an extremely terrifying existence." Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Of course, he knew. The old valley master of the supreme emotion-forgetting valley was said to be the only one who had cultivated the divine skill to an extremely high level. Although she was still at the level of a rule master, she was at most at the pinnacle of the 6 void realms. However, once she used the supreme divine skill of the supreme emotion-forgetting valley, her battle strength instantly soared to a whole new level. Even the 3 great saint realm masters, even the true rulers, would be afraid of that level. Therefore, after a long period of time, regardless of whether it was the 3 great saint realms or the 3 great freedom alliances, when they faced the supreme emotion-forgetting valley, they all had some misgivings. When they fought for some benefits, they did not dare to push the supreme emotion-forgetting valley too far. Once they pushed the valley too far, the 3 freedom alliances and the 3 saint realms would have a headache when the old valley master showed up. This time, although Jian Wushuang did not push the valley to the limit, he did it at the gate of the valley. When Longyu, Master Gorse, and the others could not do anything to them. Finally, the old valley master came out personally. "You are Heavenly Sword Marquis." The old woman spoke gently. She slowly raised her eyes, which had narrowed into a line, and looked at Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua. "Heavenly Sword Marquis greets you, Senior." Jian Wushuang also appeared to be quite humble and bowed slightly at the first moment. "You are too kind. Although I have stayed in the supreme emotion-forgetting valley for many years, I have heard a lot about you. You have severely injured the Flame Saint Master and the Sorcerer God in the Saint Realm. Your ability is really admirable," the old woman said. "You flatter me," Jian Wushuang said calmly. The old woman looked at Demon Master Chenhua again. "My young friend Chenhua of the Amethyst Demon Sect, I have a lot of connections with the Amethyst Demon Sect. I felt sorry for the destruction of the Amethyst Demon Sect, but am glad to see you again today." "It's my honor to meet you, Senior," Demon Master Chenhua said with a dry smile, keeping a low profile. What a joke! This old woman in front of him was a terrifying old monster who had lived for God knows how many years and was extremely powerful. Even when the Amethyst Demon Sect was still around, his master and some of the upper echelons of the Amethyst Demon Sect had to respectfully address this old woman as a junior. Although Demon Master Chenhua was not weak, in front of this old woman he did not dare to put on any airs. "Young friend, Heavenly Sword Marquis, young friend Chenhua, I already know about this matter," the old woman said slowly. "It doesn't matter who is right or wrong. Since I have already made an appearance, I will let it go. I will not pursue the matter of your killing the disciples of our supreme emotion-forgetting valley. However, I hope that you can release Zhu Xian and Han Xian for my sake. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks." The old woman clearly did not intend to kill Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua, nor did she say that she wanted to seek justice for the disciples who had been killed by Jian Wushuang. She just wanted to resolve the matter. Upon hearing this, Longyu, Master Gorsh, and the other experts of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley frowned. However, since the old master had said it herself, they naturally did not dare to disobey her. However, they were willing to resolve the matter. But Jian Wushuang was not happy. "Senior, there is no enmity between me and Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. I have always been respectful and friendly to them. Not long ago, I saved Han Xin's life in the Bloodwave realm. It can be said that I really hope to become friends with them, but the prerequisite is that they let me take my wife away. Master, Jian Wushuang's voice was extremely solemn. Senior, you want me to release Master Zhu Xian and Han Xian. That's fine, but I have to see my wife first. Jian Wushuang obviously would not forget his purpose of coming here, just because of the appearance of the old master. He wanted to find his wife and take her away. No one could stop him. The old master of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley was indeed an earth-shaking expert and was very difficult to deal with. Jian Wushuang did not want to be her enemy unless necessary, but now, for his wife, he had no choice. Your wife? Lung Er. The old woman pondered for a moment, then shook her head. No, Lung Er is very important to the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. I can't let you see her and affect her state of mind. Then I can only let you down. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold. Young friend, are you really going to make an enemy of our Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley? The old woman raised her eyelids slightly, and a sharp, cold light flashed out of the gap between her eyes. This cold light made people's hearts tremble. Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua felt a chill in their bodies and hearts under this cold light. Heavenly Sword Marquis, think carefully. This old monster is not to be trifled with. Why don't we leave this place first and make a long-term plan? Demon Master Qinhua said softly. It was obvious that he was already a little afraid. Chapter 3381. Threats, leave first. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists, but his eyes were filled with unprecedented determination. Impossible. I can give in to anything, but I can't give in to this. Senior, I don't want to make an enemy of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, but I have to take my wife with me. If you don't allow it, it'll have to offend you. Jian Wushuang growled and flipped his palm. He took out the Scarlet Tower again. Although the divine power of Master Zhu Xian and Han Xian had recovered a little, they could still be easily killed by Jian Wushuang if he wanted to. Heavenly Sword Marquis, how dare you act presumptuously in front of the old master? Longyu and Master Gorse were shocked by Jian Wushuang's action and shouted, "Shut up!" Jian Wushuang glanced at Longyu and Master Gorse, which made them even more furious. My young friend, I haven't fought for many years, and I don't want to do it today. But if you want to continue, it'll bully you no matter what. The old woman just looked at Jian Wushuang calmly. Jian Wushuang did not speak, but a majestic power surged out of his body. The moment the majestic power surged out, it was ready to cover the blood-red tower in front of him. But at this moment, whoosh, the old woman in the void in front of him suddenly disappeared. When she reappeared, she had already passed through Jian Wushuang. However, although the old woman had passed through Jian Wushuang's divine body, the latter's body began to slowly disappear. The old woman's face slightly sank. Whoosh! In the void on the other side, Jian Wushuang's figure appeared out of thin air, and his aura was slightly weakened. Apparently, the old woman's attack had not hurt him at all. Time-space teleportation. The old woman looked at Jian Wushuang again. Know that Senior's strength is unfathomable. In a head-on fight, even if 10 of me are tied together, I'm definitely not your match. But I'm afraid it won't be so easy for you to kill me. Jian Wushuang also looked at the old woman. Their eyes met in the void, and for a moment the space completely froze. The old woman was still as calm as an ancient well. She said indifferently, the space-time divine art created by the temporal temple master is indeed extraordinary. Among them, the space-time teleportation is the strongest life-saving technique in the divine beginning realm. However, Although the space-time teleportation is amazing, as long as we can use the space-time imprisonment, we can't use it. I don't know how to use space-time imprisonment, but I happen to have a special treasure. As long as an expert who specializes in space-time principles is able to use it, it won't be difficult for me to use it. Longyu, the principles you control contain space-time principles. They'll give you this jade ring, and you can use space-time imprisonment. The old woman waved her hand and threw a purple jade ring at Longyu. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted slightly, but he immediately relaxed. Senior, even if you want Valley Master Longyu to use the jade ring to confine time and space, I'm afraid you won't be able to stop me from leaving, right? Jian Wushuang smiled and flipped his hand, and a purple gold token that emitted a strong power of time and space appeared in his hand. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. At the sight of the purple gold token, the old woman was finally moved. Heaven painting golden flag. Yes, it's the golden sky painting flag. But I wonder if the jade ring given by Senior can be compared to the one in my hand. Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. The golden sky painting flag is a top-notch treasure in space-time. It's very difficult to find a treasure in space-time that is higher than the golden sky painting flag in the entire divine beginning realm. It's not something that my jade ring can compare to. I just didn't expect that the temporal temple master would give the golden sky painting flag to you. It seems that the temporal temple master values you very much, the old woman said. Senior, since you know about the golden banner, you should know that with my knowledge of space-time principles and the mansion master of the golden banner, I can easily break the space-time restriction. However, you still can't keep me here, Jian Wushuang said. That's right. The old woman nodded slightly. The moment she saw the golden banner, she knew that it was impossible for her to kill Jian Wushuang here, even though she was extremely powerful. Senior, you can't kill me, but I can easily kill people from the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, such as Master Zhu Xian and Han Xian in the Scarlet Tower. As long as I use my mind, they will die. So, I hope you can consider what I said before. Jian Wushuang looked at the old woman. Young friend, are you threatening me? The old woman asked coldly. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded and admitted, perhaps my wife is too important to the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, and you are not willing to make concessions for Master Zhu Xian and Han Xian. According to Master Zhu Xian and Han Xian, this is just the beginning. If you don't agree, I will stand guard outside the valley from now on. I will kill any expert or disciple who dares to take a step out of the valley, no matter how long it takes, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years. Unless I die, don't even think about stepping out of the valley. Jian Wushuang's killing intent was fierce, and his cold voice reverberated in the air like the voice of the Grim Reaper. Hearing Jian Wushuang's words, the principal's masters of the valley were instantly enraged. The weathered old woman's face also turned cold. However, no matter how angry they were, they had to carefully consider the threat that Jian Wushuang had mentioned. It was true that they could not kill Jian Wushuang. Even if their old master appeared personally, Jian Wushuang could easily escape by using time-space teleportation. If Jian Wushuang did not die, with his battle strength, if he stayed in Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley from now on and killed anyone he saw outside, the consequences would be too much for them to bear. They knew that Jian Wushuang was from the Temporal Temple, but they could not threaten him like Jian Wushuang did. The Temporal Temple was not only powerful, but also very mysterious. They were too mysterious. Everyone in the Divine Beginning realm knew that the Temporal Temple was terrifying, but so far, no one knew where it was. If they did not even know where the Temporal Temple's lair was, how could the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley retaliate against Jian Wushuang? Chapter 3382. Compromise. The vast void had completely frozen. The whole world was silent. The old woman's eyes were fixed on Jian Wushuang. She did not speak for a long time. As for the principals, masters of supreme emotion-forgetting valley, no one dared to say anything. After a long while, the weathered old woman's expression changed slightly, and she said, "I have lived for so many years, but this is the first time someone dares to threaten me in front of me. I have to say that you are very courageous. Comment, Senior, please forgive me. I would never dare to be disrespectful to you unless I had no choice," Jian Wushuang said. "Can see that you are very stubborn. In that case, I will allow you to meet her," the weathered old woman said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang was overjoyed. The principal's masters in the supreme emotion-forgetting valley changed their expressions slightly, but they did not say anything. They also knew that their old master could not do anything to Jian Wushuang and could only make some concessions. "My friend, follow me to the valley." The old woman's voice became gentle again. Jian Wushuang nodded and felt slightly relieved. The atmosphere around them had finally calmed down. "Heavenly Sword Marquis, are you really going to follow her to the supreme emotion-forgetting valley?" Demon Master Chenhua came to Jian Wushuang's side and asked carefully, "Or what?" Jian Wushuang glanced at Demon Master Chenhua. "Tingo, but I have to be careful. This old monster has unfathomable means and seldom contacts with the outside world. No one knows her temper. If you threaten her in front of so many people, who knows whether she will hold a grudge against you?" Demon Master Chenhua secretly sent a voice transmission. "Now that we're outside Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, she can't do anything to you. However, once we're in Supreme Emotion Valley, there are many restrictive spells there. Even if you have a strong life-saving ability, this old monster might be able to kill you. When that time comes, I don't think so." Before Demon Master Chenhua finished his words, Jian Wushuang waved his hand. "The old Valley Master of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley has a high prestige in the Divine Beginning realm. She should pay attention to her status, so the possibility of her going back on her word is very low. Moreover, even if she does go back on her word and try to kill me with the help of some restrictions in the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, I won't be afraid." Jian Wushuang had enough confidence. With his current life-saving means and the life-saving command token given by Temporal Temple Master, even 3 Saint Realm Masters of the 3 Saint Realms would not be able to do anything to him. As for the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, even if it was a dragon's den or a tiger's den, it would not be able to threaten his life. "Let's go." Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang followed the old woman into the valley. Previously, when Jian Wushuang came to the valley, he was refused entry. But this time, because of the personal guidance of Longyu and the others, he was not hindered at all. After entering the valley, Jian Wushuang also looked at the scene in the valley. As the overlord of the second heaven and a top sect in the Divine Beginning realm, the valley was not as magnificent as he had imagined. Instead, it was quiet and peaceful. There were many buildings in the valley, most of them were elegant. Under the guidance of the old woman, Jian Wushuang soon arrived in front of a huge mountain. This huge mountain was located in a very special geographical position. It was in the center of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, and the entire mountain was covered by a special restriction, which clearly isolated the mountain completely. "My friend, you are now looking at the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley's Love Valley, which is where I live. The person you are looking for also lives in this mountain. Now I can take you into the Love Valley, but only you. As for your friend, Chenhua, please wait here for a while," the old woman said. "Oh." Jian Wushuang frowned. He was the only one allowed to enter the mountain, and Chenhua had to wait outside. "Humph," Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'm afraid you don't know the rules of our supreme emotion-forgetting valley. The mountain in front of you is a forbidden area of our supreme emotion-forgetting valley. No one is allowed to enter it, even as the current valley master. I have to inform the old master in advance if I want to enter, let alone an outsider like you. I can only enter after the old master agrees. Longyu snorted. Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. According to Longyu, he, the current Valley Master of Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, was not qualified to enter and leave Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley at will. Now that the old woman was willing to take him in, it was already a great favor to him. Qinhua, wait for me here, Jian Wushuang instructed. Well, be careful. Demon Master Qinhua nodded. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. My young friend, follow me in. The old woman waved her hand, and a space passage appeared in front of them. The old woman led Jian Wushuang into the space passage. After walking out of the space passage, they arrived at the mountainside. Under the guidance of the old woman, Jian Wushuang came to a cave mansion in the middle of the mountain. My friend, the person you want to see is in this cave mansion, the old woman said. Jian Wushuang immediately looked into the cave mansion. Although the cave mansion was very deep, Jian Wushuang could still sense the figure in the deepest part of the cave mansion. Shuang, the familiar aura and feeling made Jian Wushuang's body and heart tremble. However, just as Jian Wushuang was about to step into the cave mansion, the old woman reached out and stopped him. My friend, you can't enter the cave mansion, the old woman said. Why? Jian Wushuang frowned, and his voice sounded urgent. Although I promised to let you meet her, I didn't promise to let you have any contact with her, the old woman said. Senior. Jian Wushuang's face darkened, and there was a trace of anger in his eyes. He wanted to meet Long Rushuang, so how could he just give her a simple look? He noticed the change in Jian Wushuang's expression. The old woman smiled bitterly and said, My friend, it's not that I'm unreasonable, but my disciple is in a critical period of cultivation. At this time, she must not be disturbed by anyone. A critical period of cultivation? Is it to cultivate that divine skill? Jian Wushuang glanced at the old woman. If she completely cultivates it, won't she completely abandon her emotions? I won't be able to recover her previous lives' memories in the future. Chapter 3383. The best of both worlds, it's true. The old woman also nodded in acknowledgement. Once you have successfully cultivated the supreme divine skill of our supreme emotion-forgetting valley, you will abandon all feelings between men and women. Even if you have restored her memory of her previous life, her feelings will still be abandoned. However, the supreme divine skill is extraordinary. It's not easy to master it. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang asked in a deep voice. My friend, you should know that the supreme divine skill can only be cultivated by someone with a pure heart who has not been influenced by the secular world. Because of this, it is difficult for the supreme emotion-forgetting valley to find a suitable person for cultivation. The girl in the cave mansion has lived 2 lives. If it was just this one life, it would definitely be the best choice to cultivate the divine skill. However, because she still carries the memories of her previous life, she will be greatly hindered in cultivating the divine skill. The old woman's voice became serious. When the girl was brought to the supreme emotion-forgetting valley and brought to me, I found that she was very special. Although she had lived 2 lifetimes, she had 2 lifetimes of memories, but the memories of her previous life had been suppressed or even sealed. Sealed? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Indeed, the old woman continued. I carefully examined her body and finally came to the conclusion that the expert must have forcibly injected a part of the willpower into her body when she reincarnated. This portion of the power of will should have originated from a principal's master. Moreover, under that expert's methods, the power of this will has been completely erased from that principal's master's will. What it possesses is only some understanding and comprehension regarding the principles. For anyone to have such power of will remain in their body is simply a great fortune. After all, the power of will can only be acquired after mastering a complete set of principles. With a complete set of power of will in his body, it means that even if he doesn't cultivate, he can still become a principle's master in a short period of time, as long as he slowly transmits the power of will in his body. Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. He immediately recalled that when he met Long Rushuang in the 9 realms of the Golden Crow, she was known as the most powerful genius in the 9 realms of the Golden Crow. She was even more dazzling than him because, at that time, even if Long Rushuang did not cultivate, her comprehension of the principles could be improved at an incredible speed. It was as easy as eating and drinking. At that time, Jian Wushuang thought it was incredible, but now he finally understood. The master that the old Valley Master mentioned should be master, right? Jian Wushuang muttered in his heart. He could guess that his master Xian Yi was also worried that Long Rushuang would not be able to grow after coming to the divine beginning realm, because she did not have Jian Wushuang's great talent advantage. She might even die before Jian Wushuang found her. He had met with some kind of threat and died. That was why his master had used a great method to forcefully bestow a portion of the power of will on Long Rushuang. It could be considered as giving Long Rushuang some support so that she could wait for Jian Wushuang's arrival. Jian Wushuang could completely understand his master's action. That expert's method is indeed heaven, defying forcibly bestowing a portion of the power of will on a reincarnated soul without damaging it at all. Such a method is beyond my reach. The old woman sighed softly. However, that expert might not have thought of it himself. Although the power of will did not harm the soul, because it contained too many things and was too vast, it completely suppressed or even sealed the memories of the reincarnated soul. Therefore, after the baby was born, it did not immediately recover the memories of its previous life. Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He had never understood why Long Rushuang did not have any memories of his previous life when he entered the reincarnation passage with her. It turned out that Long Rushuang did not have any memories. It was just that her memories of her previous life had been sealed because of the power of her will. Naturally, she could not remember them. Of course, although the girl's memories from her previous life were sealed, as long as the principal's master appeared, she could easily suppress the power of the will in her body temporarily and help her recover the memories from her previous life, the old woman said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang was delighted. Obviously, if he wanted to recover Long Rushuang's memories, it would be very easy. After knowing this, I'm not sure if she can continue to cultivate that divine skill, but I still let her start to cultivate that divine skill with the attitude of giving it a try. The result of the cultivation was unexpectedly out of my expectations. She was not affected by the memories of her previous life at all. Her cultivation speed is very amazing, much faster than when I first cultivated it. After that, I understood that as long as I completely sealed the girl's past memories, she would definitely be able to master the divine skill and even cultivate it to the highest level, much higher than my level. Therefore, I personally set up a seal in her body to ensure that her past memories could no longer recover on their own. Senior, Jian Wushuang was shocked and angry. My young friend, don't worry. The old woman comforted Jian Wushuang, Before I met you, I didn't want to restore her memory from her previous life. I even thought about whether it was possible to completely erase her memory from her previous life. However, after meeting you, I changed my mind. Can't help it. Your talent is unparalleled, and your potential is so great that no one in the divine beginning realm can compare to you. In the future, you might really reach a level that no one in the divine beginning realm has ever reached. I, the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, naturally don't want to offend you too much. Therefore, I can take a step back and choose a way to achieve the best of both worlds. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, My Box Novel. Thanks. What is it? Jian Wushuang immediately looked over. Soul peeling. The old woman laughed. Soul peeling. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Of course, he understood what the old woman meant by soul peeling. It was forcibly turning one soul into two souls or one person into two people. Such a method was not easy to accomplish. The slightest carelessness could lead to the complete annihilation of the soul. Senior, are you planning to separate her past life and present life into two people through soul peeling? Jian Wushuang looked at the old woman. Chapter 3384. Soul peeling, that's it. The old woman said, seriously, soul peeling is to turn this girl's soul into two pieces. One of them will carry her memories from her previous life, and you will take it with you. The other piece will carry her memories from this life, and she will continue to stay in my Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley to cultivate that supreme divine art. This way, the good thing is that you can have the best of both worlds. After all, you only want your wife from your previous life. As for the bad thing, once you peel off her soul, the two parts of her soul will not be complete. Thus, you will need some treasures related to the soul to completely restore her soul. The requirements for such a soul treasure are extremely high. In the divine beginning realm, the only thing that can fulfill this condition is the soul treasure, the star moon agarwood. Moreover, it must be 100 million years old. The star moon agarwood is an extremely rare treasure. In the divine beginning realm, it can even be said to be extinct. This kind of treasure lives in an extremely harsh environment. It's hard to even exist for 1,000,000 years. Thus, it's even harder to obtain 100 million years old star moon agarwood. However, my Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley once obtained a small piece of 100 million years old star moon agarwood by chance. It can be used on the soul that was left in my Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley after it was peeled off, allowing it to completely recover. As for the part of the soul that retained your wife's memories, you'll have to think of a way yourself. Of course, since our Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley has a piece of 100 million year old star moon agarwood, and as the most ancient and mysterious temporal temple of the 3 freedom alliances in the divine beginning realm, we should have it. Even if we don't have it, we can definitely find a way to get it. After saying that, the old woman looked at Jian Wushuang again. At this moment, Jian Wushuang was silent. Soul peeling, Jian Wushuang had some understanding of soul peeling and knew the advantages and disadvantages of soul peeling. Most importantly, his wife, Lung Rushuang, had actually carried out soul peeling in her previous life. Because of her special physique, her wife's soul was divided into two parts. One part of her personality became Lung Rushuang, and the other part was the evil incarnation of her physique, Lung Rushue. The two souls occupied the same body. At first, Lung Rushuang was in charge, but later, Lung Rushuang's soul consciousness was suppressed and led by Lung Rushue. In the end, their souls were completely separated. Lung Rushue followed her master into the divine beginning realm, while Lung Rushuang entered the reincarnation passage like Jian Wushuang. In other words, Lung Rushuang had stripped her soul before, and she had already borne the price. Senior, if her soul is stripped in two, who will be in charge of her body now? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course, the soul left in the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, which is my disciple, will be in charge. The old woman said, seriously, I can't help it. The Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley has spent a lot of money to nurture this girl. Now that she has finally reached this level, she is very close to the top of the Supreme Divine Skill. At this moment, I won't let her give up this body and start over. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. He knew that the soul stripping was actually tolerable for Lung Rushuang. The key question was who would control her current body once the soul was stripped. Of course, Jian Wushuang hoped that his wife could control this body, but the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley obviously would not allow it. Jian Wushuang could understand. After all, the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley had indeed paid too much for her to cultivate the Supreme Divine Skill. If she let the soul, with the memories of this life, leave this body, then she would have to start all over again. It was absolutely unbearable for the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you may not know this, but I will soon die, the old woman suddenly said. What? Jian Wushuang looked at her in surprise. The old Valley Master of the Supreme Emotion Valley, a task that even the three masters of the Saint Realm, including the Temporal Temple Master, were afraid of would soon die. Was this a joke? TM, not lying to you, the old woman said solemnly. The Supreme Divine Skill of the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley is very special, although it's extremely powerful, and can allow me, who was only at the 6th realm of the Void Realm, to burst out with battle strength comparable to that of a master, or even stronger than an ordinary master. It's so powerful that I have to pay a price every time I use it. What's the price? Jian Wushuang asked immediately. Lifespan. The old woman sighed. She continued. Under normal circumstances, when a cultivator reaches the level of a principal's master, their lifespan may not be endless, but it's also very long. However, no matter who it is, as long as they cultivate the divine skill of our Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, there's no such thing as an endless lifespan. They've personally experienced it. For example, when I cultivate the divine skill to this level, my lifespan can only last for 1 billion years at most. 1 billion years is considered very long. Senior's lifespan should be far from 1 billion years, right? Jian Wushuang asked. Although he did not know how long the old Valley Master of the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley had lived, as far as he knew, the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley had existed in the Divine Beginning realm for less than 1 billion years. Just based on the time I've lived, this old body is still far from 1 billion years. However, this old body has just said that these 1 billion years of life is just the threshold to cultivate that divine technique. After cultivating, every time I use it, it will consume my life. Under normal circumstances, every time this old body uses that divine technique, it will consume 100 million years of life. They've been staying in the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley ever since I started cultivating that divine skill. During that time, the valley had encountered many dangers, so I had to use all my strength. I have used that divine skill many times, and my lifespan has been continuously consumed. So far, I have less than 100 million years left. Less than 100 million years. Does that mean Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted? Yes, if I use that divine skill one more time, I will die immediately. So, even if you disrespect me today and threaten me in front of me, I have not completely shed all pretense of cordiality with you. Although this is also because of your strong life-saving skills, more importantly, I don't want to give you this last chance to use the divine skill, the old woman said. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and sighed in his heart. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. He had thought that the old Valley Master was really helpless against him, so he had to step back. But now it seemed that was not the case. Chapter 3385, The Enemy of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. They've less than 100 million years left, and I can only use the divine skill once more. I don't want to use it unless I have no other choice, because once I use it, my death is nothing. The key is that the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley has lost my intimidation. I'm afraid that it will be destroyed soon. The old woman said. Destroyed? Senior, you can't be that serious, right? Jian Wushuang frowned. No matter what, the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley is an overlord in the second heaven. It has more than 10 principles masters under it, and it has a huge foundation. Such a powerful sect, even if it loses your intimidation, will not be as fearful as before. However, once the sect forces come, they will not easily provoke the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, right? Jian Wushuang was very confused, because in his opinion, even if the old Valley Master did not exist in the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, with an expert of the 6 void realms like Master Gorsh and the foundation of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, he was still far stronger than a force like the Xiaoyao Mansion. How could such an overlord be easily destroyed without any reason? Little friend, although our Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley appears to be glorious on the surface, and because of me, no one has dared to provoke us for a long time. In fact, there are many hidden dangers in our Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, especially in terms of enemies. Our Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley has a great enemy, the weathered old woman said. Great enemy? Jian Wushuang was startled. The Destruction Saint Realm, one of the 3 Saint Realms, is a great enemy of our Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, the weathered old woman said in a low voice. Many years ago, our Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley offended the Destruction Saint Realm because of some conflicts of interest. Later, in the universe battlefield, I completely offended the Destruction Saint Realm. The universe battlefield. Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Yes, it was in the universe battlefield that I obtained the supreme divine skill. However, the 3 principles masters of the Saint Destruction realm fought with me at the same time. When they saw that I had obtained the divine skill, they immediately tried to snatch it. Unfortunately, they were not strong enough. Not only did they fail to snatch the divine skill from me, but they were also killed by me on the spot. The old woman sneered. However, because of this matter, Destruction Saint Realm was furious. However, because I had never been to the divine beginning realm or touched the secular world, Destruction Saint Realm couldn't figure out my true identity for a while. It wasn't until a lucky coincidence that they found out that I was from the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. After they found out, Destruction Saint Realm immediately sent a large number of experts over. Even Destruction Saint Master's consciousness appeared. However, after they found out my true identity, I had already mastered that divine art and cultivated it to a certain level. That's why I directly attacked the Destruction Saint Realm experts and repelled them head-on. Even the Destruction Saint Realm Master's consciousness was torn to shreds on the spot. At this point, the vicissitudes of life revealed a cold smile. After that battle, my name naturally shook the world. Destruction Saint Realm did not know my actual strength, so they did not continue to fight. After that, our Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley and Destruction Saint Realm had several clashes. I also fought with Destruction Saint Master's original body several times, but each time I used the divine skill, Destruction Saint Master could only escape in a sorry state. After a few lessons, Destruction Saint Master finally calmed down. After so many years, he did not dare to have a large-scale collision with our Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. Is that so? Jian Wushuang finally understood. He finally understood why the old Valley Master had said that the Destruction Saint Realm was a great enemy of the supreme emotion-forgetting valley. Indeed, the three saint realms are the rulers of the divine, beginning realm because of the power of the will of heaven. To a certain extent, even the three freedom alliances are at a disadvantage against the three saint realms. Because of this, the three saint realms have always been overbearing, and they have always treated the sects of the divine beginning realm as if they were kings and subjects. In the divine beginning realm, if any sect dares to be disrespectful to the three saint realms, the three saint realms will immediately punish them. The sects cannot afford any punishment, and the Amethyst Demon Sect was completely destroyed. The Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley has fought with the Destruction Saint Realm several times, but the latter didn't gain any advantage. Moreover, the Destruction Saint Master has suffered a few losses at your hands. The Destruction Saint Master will definitely hold a grudge. It's fine for you to stay in the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley for now, but once you die, the Destruction Saint Realm might directly attack the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, Jian Wushuang said seriously. That's exactly what I think, the old woman said. So before I die, I must do everything for the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley to cultivate a person who can cultivate the divine skill to the top level. The girl in the cave mansion can be said to be my last hope. The progress of the girl is very smooth, but now, with your unexpected change, they've no choice but to find a way to get the best of both worlds by stripping her soul. However, after stripping her soul, her body must remain in the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. This is my bottom line. Otherwise, I don't have the confidence to let her start over and cultivate to the top level again in the remaining time. After saying that, the old woman looked at Jian Wushuang. Her eyes opened slightly, and there was a hint of pleading in them. Obviously, the old valley master had made a final concession. She hoped that Jian Wushuang would understand, but she accepted it if he did not. Senior, I understand what you said, but if I take my wife's soul and leave, how can I make her recover completely? Jian Wushuang asked. He knew a little about soul stripping, but he did not know how to find a new body and restore it to its original state. It's not difficult. First, you have to get the Star Moon Agarwood and make your wife's soul complete. Then you can choose two methods to make your wife recover, the old woman explained. First, the first method is for you to find a suitable body. Then you can invite an expert who specializes in souls to help your wife's soul enter that body directly and possess it. You can completely wipe out the original consciousness of that body and let your wife occupy it. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. This method is the simplest, but it has many flaws. Chapter 3386. Risks, after all, it's forcefully taking over the other party's body. There must be a lot of initial forays into your own body. Although the consciousness of the owner of that body will be completely wiped out, there will more or less remain some things of the other party. It will have a certain impact on your wife's consciousness, and it will be possible for your wife to make some changes. In addition, if the person your wife possessed was only an ordinary person or some weaker cultivators, it would be slightly better to be able to control them. However, if the person who possessed was quite powerful, for example, to possess a principal's master, then even if this principal's master's consciousness was wiped out, the power in his body was not something that your wife's consciousness could control. The slightest carelessness could result in unimaginable consequences. These are the risks that must be borne by forcibly possessing a soul. The old woman said. Tay also heard of soul possession. Not only is it very risky, but it's also too vicious. Even if my wife's soul is stripped, she wouldn't choose to use this method to choose a body that doesn't belong to her, Jian Wushuang said. If you don't want to rely on soul possession, you can only rely on treasures to create a new body for your wife, the old woman said. How? Jian Wushuang asked. to create a new body that is exactly the same as your wife's divine body without any discomfort or incipient experience. Ordinary treasures won't work. As far as I know, there is a special treasure in the world called the Ice Heart Glazed Jade. This treasure can create a glazed body according to the wishes of the cultivator. The glazed body will be completely integrated with the cultivator's soul consciousness without any flaws or risks. As long as you can get the glazed ice jade, you can create a perfect body for your wife, which is exactly the same as her original body. Moreover, this glazed body is exactly the same as a human cultivator. The old woman said, "If one am not wrong, it shouldn't be easy to get a treasure like the glazed ice jade, right?" Jian Wushuang looked at her. Yes. The old woman nodded. The Ice Heart Glazed Jade is much rarer than the 100-million-year-old Star Moon Agarwood that I mentioned before. If you can find some 100-million-year-old Star Moon Agarwood in the Divine Beginning realm, and you might have it in the Temporal Temple, then the Ice Heart Glazed Jade is almost impossible to find in the Divine Beginning realm. Even if the Temporal Temple has accumulated wealth over countless years, I'm afraid it won't be able to find the Ice Heart Glazed Jade. Of course, there might not be any in the Temporal Temple, but they should have a way to find him. After all, I've heard that someone came back from the universe battlefield with a big piece of Ice Heart Glazed Jade. You can ask the Temporal Temple to find him for you. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang fell silent. After a while, Jian Wushuang looked up again and asked, "Senior, is what you said true?" "Of course, I won't lie to you." The old woman smiled. "If you don't believe me, you can ask the experts of the Temporal Temple. With their knowledge, they should know whether what I said is true or not." Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He also understood that the old Valley Master would not lie to him. Even if she wanted to lie, Jian Wushuang was not stupid. He could see it or ask someone. "Senior, I am not a tactless person. As long as I can ensure that my wife's soul will not be affected and that I can find the Ice Heart Glazed Jade to help my wife recover, I will agree to the soul stripping," Jian Wushuang said. He knew very well that the old Valley Master had already made a big concession and told him some secrets of the supreme emotion-forgetting valley, especially that the old Valley Master's lifespan was less than 100 million years. Once he used the divine skill again, he would die immediately. This was definitely a big secret. In order to convince him, the old Valley Master had told him his biggest secret. However, the old Valley Master had no choice but to make his biggest concession. Under such circumstances, Jian Wushuang could not be so tough all the time, but he had to make some concessions. Now, his concession was to give up his wife's body in this life, take away her soul and the memories of her previous life, and find Bing Xian Glazed Jade to help his wife recover her body in the future. Although the process was a little troublesome, it was better than the current stalemate with Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, which made both sides unhappy. Moreover, with Jian Wushuang's current strength, it was already the limit for him to force the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley to make such a concession. After all, he was only in the Saint realm, and his strength was only in the Fourth Void realm. The reason why he was able to make the old Valley Master give in was because the old Valley Master was worried about the disciples and experts of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. He could only use the divine skill once. However, if the old Valley Master was unwilling to give in, Jian Wushuang did not have much choice. After all, he could only kill the disciples of the experts outside the valley. However, if the valley made a move, it would seal the mountain and isolate itself from the outside world for hundreds of years. When Lung Rushuang reached a high level of the divine skill, Jian Wushuang would never be able to find his wife again. On this basis, he finally made a compromise. It's great that you can understand the current situation of the valley. However, there is still a problem to be solved, the old woman said. What problem? Jian Wushuang asked. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. The problem is how to peel off the soul. The old woman said seriously. The soul is the foundation of a cultivator. It's easy for me to peel off a person's soul and turn it into two souls. However, it's very difficult to peel off the two souls without causing any damage. After all, although I have studied the Tao of the soul, my attainments in the aspect of the soul are not that great. If I were to peel off the soul alone, it is very likely that I would cause great damage to the girl's soul during the process. If I am not careful, her soul might even collapse. Therefore, it is best if we can invite an expert who is extremely skilled in the aspect of the soul to work with me to peel off her soul. Chapter 3387. Agreed, there are many experts in the divine beginning realm who are good at soul manipulation, but there are almost no experts who are absolutely confident in soul peeling and won't cause any harm to the two souls. However, under normal circumstances, as long as an expert in the sixth realm of the void realm, who is especially good at soul works with me, I'm at least 90% sure that I won't harm the girl in the process of soul peeling, said the old woman. An expert of the sixth realm of the void, who specializes in the soul. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. It was not easy to find such an expert. It must be known that there were too few experts of the sixth realm of the void in the divine beginning realm. If the experts of the sixth realm of the void, who roamed the universe battlefield and stayed in the divine beginning realm all year round, were excluded, there were probably no more than 20 of them. Among the less than 20 experts, there were even fewer who specialized in the soul. I know someone. Not only has she reached the sixth realm of the void realm, but her attainments in the soul are also extremely high. It's not an exaggeration to say that she's the #1 expert in the divine beginning realm. Moreover, she has some friendship with me. I can think of a way to find her, the old woman said. Oh. Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Please contact her immediately. Don't worry. The old woman waved her hand. As far as I know, this person has been in closed-door cultivation for a very important time. She didn't even pay attention to her children who wanted to see her. I can't contact her at the moment. However, as soon as she comes out, I will tell her about it and ask her to help. Thank you, Senior, Jian Wushuang said. By the way, although I know you are the old Valley Master of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, I still don't know your name. Tamai, the old woman said. Ma-yi. Jian Wushuang was stunned. This name was very strange. It was not her real name, but something like a nickname. My friend, since you and I have agreed, let's leave now, Ma-yi said. Jian Wushuang looked deeply into the depths of the cave mansion and nodded slightly. Soon, Jian Wushuang and Ma-yi walked out of Love Valley. Outside Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, Demon Master Qinhua and many principals masters of Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley were still waiting quietly. When Jian Wushuang and Ma-yi walked out of the peak, they immediately came forward to greet them. Heavenly Sword Marquis, how is it? Did that old monster make things difficult for you? Demon Master Qinhua asked. Is going well. I've already negotiated with Senior Ma-yi and made some concessions. The final result is acceptable to both of us, Jian Wushuang said. Agreed. Demon Master Chenyuo's expression changed. He did not know what Jian Wushuang and the old woman Ma-yi had talked about, but he did not continue to ask when he saw Jian Wushuang's expression. On the other side, Ma-yi did not tell Longyu, Master Gorsh, and the others about the agreement with Jian Wushuang. Instead, he continued to look at Jian Wushuang. My friend, I'm afraid it will take some time for my friend to go into seclusion. If you don't mind, you can stay in my Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. If you have other things to do, you can leave first. When my friend comes out of seclusion, I will send a message to you. This is my message token. Keep it well. Ma Yi handed his message token to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took the token and pondered for a moment. Then he said, most of the female disciples in the valley are female. It would be inconvenient for Qinhua and I to stay here for a long time. So we'd better leave first. When you have a result, you can send me a message. To send you off. But before you leave, I hope you can release Zhu Xin and Han Xin, Ma Yi said with a smile. Of course. Jian Wushuang smiled. With a flip of his palm, the blood-red tower appeared in his hand again. With a thought, he immediately released Master Zhu Xin and Han Xin, who were suppressed in the tower. Senior Ma Yi and everyone from Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, thank you for your trouble today. There are a lot of resources in this interspatial ring. I apologize to Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. Goodbye. Jian Wushuang threw an interspatial ring at the Long Yu. Then he turned around and left with Demon Master Qinhua. After taking the interspatial ring and seeing Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua completely disappear in front of them, everyone from Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley heaved a sigh of relief. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Although the encounter with Jian Wushuang had caused the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley to lose many disciples, most of them were only at the saint level, which was still within the acceptable range of the Supreme Emotion Valley. Moreover, Jian Wushuang had also taken out the interspatial ring as an apology. In terms of face, the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley had already gotten over it, so they naturally did not plan to pursue the matter any further. However, if Jian Wushuang had killed both Master Zhu Xin and Han Xin, the matter would not have been resolved so easily. Once the matter was resolved, the valley quickly regained its peace. The old woman, Mai Yi, returned to the mountain and continued to guide Long Wushuang in her cultivation. Jian Wushuang immediately took out his messaging token and asked Temple Master Bai Xing after leaving the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley with Demon Master Qinhua. He naturally asked about some things related to soul peeling. Although he believed in what Ma Yi had said in the valley, he still carefully asked Temple Master Bai Xing about it. Temple Master Bai Xing was knowledgeable and answered all of them. The answer he got was almost the same as what Ma Yi had said. First of all, as long as the soul was peeled off and stored on the 100-million-year-old star moon Agarwood, the soul could be restored completely without any damage or defects. As for the 100-million-year-old star moon Agarwood, there were indeed some in the temporal temple that could be used. Then there was the matter of the recovery of the body after the soul was peeled off. Without a doubt, it was the best and most flawless choice to use the ice heart glazed jade to build a glazed body. However, who exactly had the ice heart glazed jade? The temporal temple also spent some time to investigate. Finally, there was an expert of the sixth realm in the void who was good at soul. The temporal temple also gave him one. However, this expert came from the divine ancestor Daoist sect and was in the user's temporal temple. There was no expert of the six void realms who specialized in the soul. After receiving Temple Master Bai Xing's reply, Jian Wushuang felt more or less at ease. Chapter 3388. Samsara Sect, Heavenly Sword Marquis. What do you plan to do next? Demon Master Qinhua asked. Next, Jian Wushuang began to ponder. It will take some time for Senior Ma Yi's good friend to enter seclusion. I can only wait patiently until her good friend comes out. As for the patrol team, there is no task at the moment, so there is no need to rush back. Jian Wushuang was thinking quickly, but suddenly his eyes lit up. Oh, the Reincarnation Pearl. Jian Wushuang remembered one thing. In the Blood Wave realm, he had won a Reincarnation Pearl from the Light King in a bet. And this Reincarnation Pearl was a certificate to enter the Samsara Heaven domain. The Samsara heaven domain is a saint realm for comprehending the Samsara principles. Although I have perfectly fused the Samsara principles with the space-time principles, am still a little far from fully comprehending the Samsara principles. If I can enter the Samsara heaven domain and cultivate for a period of time, I might be able to make a breakthrough. Once I have fully grasped the Samsara principles, my strength will soar again. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. He knew very well that in this world, no matter where he went or what he wanted to do, the most important thing was his own strength. Only when he was strong enough could he do what he wanted to do. Therefore, improving his strength was his top priority. The Samsara heaven realm was the place where he could improve his strength. Moreover, the Samsara heaven realm was in the second heaven, so it was on the way for Jian Wushuang. Qinhua, I'm going to the Samsara heaven realm. Come with me, Jian Wushuang said. Samsara heaven realm? The territory of the Samsara sect? Demon Master Qinhua raised his eyebrows. Do you know it? Jian Wushuang looked at Demon Master Qinhua. Yes. Demon Master Qinhua nodded. In the Amethyst demon sects era, there were very few sects in the second heaven that were qualified to challenge the Amethyst demon sect. The Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley was one of them, and the other was the Samsara sect. Although the foundation of the Samsara sect is inferior to the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, and its strength and trump cards are not as powerful as the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, it is still considered a very powerful sect. As for the Samsara heaven realm, it already existed at that time. It is said that the Samsara heaven realm was personally created by the founder of the Samsara sect, the Samsara Grandmaster. This place is extremely helpful to cultivators who comprehend the principles of reincarnation. However, the actions of the Samsara Grandmaster are very strange. He created the Samsara sect himself, but after he created the Samsara heaven realm, he spread out the hundreds of Samsara beads that he personally refined to enter the Samsara heaven realm and spread them throughout the entire divine beginning realm. As for the interior of the Samsara sect, he only left a relatively small portion. Oh, Jian Wushuang's expression changed. The Samsara bead was a token to enter the Samsara heaven realm. There were hundreds of such tokens, but the Samsara Grandmaster only left a small part of them for the Samsara sect. Most of them were scattered in the divine beginning realm. It was indeed strange. In our era, no one knew the Samsara Grandmaster's intention, so he didn't care much. After leaving the Samsara heaven realm and the Samsara bead, he went to the universe battlefield and never came back. In that era, people often got the Samsara bead by chance and entered the Samsara heaven realm to study the Samsara principles. Most of them gained a lot, said Demon Master Qinhua. There must be a deeper meaning behind his actions. In short, it has nothing to do with us. I came to the Samsara heaven realm just to improve my understanding of the Samsara principles. Jian Wushuang said with a smile, "Let's go and visit the Samsara sect." Immediately, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua set off. In the second heaven, countless sects and forces were established. Among them, there were several recognized overlords. For example, the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley and the Xiaoyao Mansion were overlords that made all parties submit to them. Although the Samsara sect was not as powerful as the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, it was stronger than the Xiaoyao Mansion and had a deeper foundation. The Samsara sect occupied a vast territory. However, the headquarters of the Samsara sect was in a huge secret land of heaven and earth. This secret land of heaven and earth was covered by a magic array, and no one was allowed to enter. As for the Samsara heaven realm, it was also in the secret realm of heaven and earth. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Jian Wushuang and Qinhua had already arrived at the entrance of the secret realm of heaven and earth, where the Samsara sect was located. Jian Wushuang had no intention of concealing his identity, and he did not change his appearance at all. He took the Samsara bead and went to the entrance. As for the demon master, he followed behind Jian Wushuang and did not emit any aura. Even if others used their souls to check, they could hardly see the exact level of the demon master's strength. This was why Demon Master Qinhua was so good at concealing his aura. Previously, Jian Wushuang had asked Demon Master Qinhua about his strength, such as how powerful his aura-concealing technique was. The answer he got was that Demon Master Qinhua also had an extremely unique secret skill. This secret skill was similar to the shadowless escape skill that Jian Wushuang had mastered. It could hide in the void and disappear into nothingness. They could not be sensed by the soul. To ascertain extent, this secret skill was slightly stronger than the shadowless escape skill. Because of this, when they were in the secret realm of heaven and earth in the Amethyst Fog Sea, Jian Wushuang and Marquis Xiaoyao could not sense the existence and location of this demon master. It was best for Jian Wushuang to use the golden sky painting flag to cast space-time imprisonment and completely control space-time to find him. With such a powerful technique and a secret skill to conceal his aura, if the demon master did not want others to know his actual strength, ordinary people, even some principles masters with extraordinary strength, would not be able to see it. But if it was a real battle, it would be different. Please inform them that Heavenly Sword Marquis of the Temporal Temple is here with the Samsara bead and wants to enter the Samsara heaven realm controlled by your SEC realm. Jian Wushuang took out the Samsara bead and showed it to the Samsara sect disciples guarding the entrance of the secret Samsara bead. The Samsara sect disciples at the entrance of the secret realm glanced at the Samsara bead and immediately knew that it was real. Then they immediately remembered the name that Jian Wushuang had just given them. Heavenly Sword Marquis of the Temporal Temple. That super monster. The Samsara sect disciples looked at Jian Wushuang with excitement, but soon someone went in to report. Chapter 3389. Do you remember Dujiu? In an exquisite pavilion in the headquarters of the Samsara sect, the sect leader of the Samsara sect, who was sitting in front of a long table and casually flipping through a token, suddenly stood up. Heavenly Sword Marquis, this Heavenly Sword Marquis is actually outside our Samsara sect. The Samsara sect leader's face was ashen, and there was a trace of shock and anger in his eyes. Yes, and he came with the Samsara beads. A white-haired elder nodded. How dare he? The Samsara sect master cursed in his heart. I heard that Heavenly Sword Marquis made a bet with the Light King in the Blood Wave realm. One of the bets was the Samsara beads, and it ended up in his hands. But I didn't expect him to actually dare to take the Samsara beads into the Samsara sect. The Samsara heaven realm was left behind by the Samsara Grandmaster, and it had always been under the control of the Samsara sect. The Samsara sect had also been paying close attention to the Samsara beads that the Samsara Grandmaster had refined. The bet between Jian Wushuang and the Light King in the Blood Wave realm, the Samsara bead, was one of the wagers. Perhaps the other sects would not care too much about it, but the Samsara sect definitely knew about it and attached great importance to it. According to the words of the Samsara Grandmaster, anyone who came with the Samsara bead could enter the Samsara heaven realm to cultivate and comprehend. However, the current Samsara sect master was obviously very angry at Jian Wushuang's arrival. Did Heavenly Sword Marquis come alone, or was there another expert with him? Samsara sect master asked again. According to the reports from the disciples at the entrance, there is another person with him. That person's aura is well hidden, so we can't tell whether it's real or not. But if we're not mistaken, it should be a principal's master, said the white-haired elder. Humph, he wants to enter the Samsara heaven realm with just a principal's master in his dreams. The Samsara sect master's face turned cold. Let's go, call the elders, and follow me to meet this super monster from the divine beginning realm. Soon, with the Samsara sect master in the lead, nearly 10 elders at the principal's master level of the Samsara sect walked toward the entrance aggressively. At the entrance of the secret realm, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua looked relaxed. They did not have any hostility toward the Samsara sect, and in their opinion, the Samsara sect should not have any hostility toward them. Not long after, they saw a group of more than a dozen people rushing out of the secret realm. Their auras were extremely dense, and more than half of them had reached the level of principal's masters, especially the two leaders. One was the principal's master of the Samsara sect, and the other was the great elder of the Samsara sect. The auras they emitted were clearly at the peak of the four void realms. Seeing this lineup, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua immediately looked strange. Two peak of the four void realms and nearly 10 principal's masters. This lineup is extraordinary, Demon Master Chenhua said. Although I'm very famous in the divine beginning realm, I don't have any friendship with the Samsara sect. The Samsara sect wouldn't send such a lineup to welcome me, right? But if the Samsara sect sent such a force to make an enemy out of me, there's no reason for it. I don't remember offending the Samsara sect. Jian Wushuang looked puzzled. Many experts of the Samsara sect had already appeared in front of Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua. Are you Heavenly Sword Marquis? Samsara sect master stared at Jian Wushuang coldly. Yes, I am. You must be Dark Chaos sect master of Samsara sect, right? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, I am. Samsara sect master nodded. I heard that you came here with the Samsara bead today. Let me see it. Although Jian Wushuang noticed that Samsara sect master's expression and the surrounding people were a little strange, he did not think too much about it. He directly gave the Samsara bead to Samsara sect master. Samsara sect master took the bead and played with it for a while. He nodded slightly and said, "It is indeed the Samsara bead. Well, thank you for returning it. Now you can leave." As soon as he said this, Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed. Sect master, what you said is wrong. I came to Samsara sect with the Samsara bead. According to the principles set by the Samsara Grandmaster, I can enter the Samsara heaven realm with the Samsara bead to comprehend the Samsara principles. That's true. The Samsara sect master did not deny it. If someone else came with the Samsara bead, the Samsara sect would bring him into the Samsara heaven realm, but you can't. The Samsara sect master's voice was full of coldness. He looked at Jian Wushuang with cold eyes. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Jian Wushuang was confused, but he still asked in a low voice, Sect master, if I remember correctly, there is no enmity between the Samsara sect and me, right? Why are you deliberately making things difficult for me? No enmity? Ha! You still have the nerve to say that there is no enmity between you and the Samsara sect. The Samsara sect master smiled coldly. Then he shouted in a low voice, Heavenly Sword Marquis, I ask you, do you still remember the expert you met in the Blood Wave realm named Dujiu? Dujiu. Jian Wushuang was stunned. He quickly thought about it and quickly remembered, I met an invincible saint named Dujiu in the Blood Wave realm. During the fight for the Blood Wave token, I tried to assassinate him in order to get the Blood Wave token. I destroyed his divine body, and he was killed by the saints who surrounded him. As for the blood wave token, it fell into my hands. But what does Dujiu's death have to do with your Samsara sect? Jian Wushuang did not understand. Back then, he had killed Dujiu in order to fight for the blood wave token. However, he had read Dujiu's information before. According to the information, Dujiu was a solitary expert with no background. How could he be related to the Samsara sect now? Humph, what does Dujiu have to do with the Samsara sect? Well, let me tell you now. Dujiu is my son. The Samsara sect master said with bloodshot eyes. What? Ian Wushuang was completely stunned. Beside him, Demon Master Chenhua was also stunned. Dujiu was the biological son of the Samsara sect master? How could this be? Sect master, are you sure you're not joking? In the information collected by the Temporal Temple, Dujiu is clearly a solitary expert with no background. How could he be your biological son? Jian Wushuang asked with a frown. Humph, how could I lie to you? The Samsara sect master gnashed his teeth. My rebellious son is rebellious and disobedient. Many years ago, he left the Samsara sect and went on his own. He even changed his name and had nothing to do with me or the Samsara sect. However, no matter how he tried, he was still my son and a member of the Samsara sect. Yet, you killed him indirectly in the blood wave realm. Chapter 3390. Overpowering the Samsara sect. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you and I have a feud over the death of our son. We cannot live under the same sky, but we are in the blood wave realm after all. In order to fight for the blood wave token, life and death are in the hands of the heavens. Therefore, we can only put down our hatred and never seek revenge on you. Yet, you still dare to appear in front of us. Do you really think that we, the Samsara sect, are easy to bully? The Samsara sect master was furious. The experts of the Samsara sect also stared at Jian Wushuang in shock and anger. Hearing the words of the Samsara sect master, Jian Wushuang's expression became very strange. He had thought that there was no enmity between him and the Samsara sect, but it was not the case. Not only did he have enmity with the Samsara sect, but the enmity was also not small. Moreover, the enmity came from a person he had killed in the blood wave realm. He had killed a random person in order to obtain the blood wave token. It was such a person that Jian Wushuang did not care about at all. Now, he had brought a lot of trouble to Jian Wushuang. Sect Master, I can only apologize for what happened to Dujiu. After all the experts who enter the blood wave realm are aiming for the blood wave token. Countless experts have died because of the blood wave token. Although Dujiu died, largely because of me, he can only blame himself for being weak. He can't blame me, Jian Wushuang said. What he said was true. Every time the blood wave realm opened, there would be a huge massacre. Countless experts would fight for the blood wave token, and of course, countless experts would die. If these fallen experts all wanted to hold a grudge, the divine beginning realm would have been in complete chaos. Therefore, no matter who killed these experts in the blood wave realm, they could not blame others. They could only blame themselves for being weak, which was recognized by everyone in the divine beginning realm. Now, I can bring the Samsara bead to your Samsara sect. According to the rules set by the Samsara Grandmaster, your Samsara sect should allow me to enter the Samsara heaven realm, Jian Wushuang said. Humph, that's right. The Grandmaster did say that as long as you can bring the Samsara bead, you can enter the Samsara heaven realm. However, you only know one thing, but you don't know the other. When the Grandmaster said this, he also said that if you have a great enmity with our Samsara sect, you are an exception. In other words, as long as you are an enemy of the Samsara sect, even if you bring the bead, you are not qualified to enter the Samsara heaven realm. As for you, Heavenly Sword Marquis, you killed my son. Aren't you an enemy of the Samsara sect? The Samsara sect master's voice was cold. It was obvious that he did not want Jian Wushuang to enter the Samsara heaven realm. Understanding this, Jian Wushuang's face turned cold. Since you won't let me enter the Samsara heaven realm, you'll have to resort to extreme measures, Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. Extreme measures? Heavenly Sword Marquis, what do you want to do? The Samsara sect master looked at Jian Wushuang coldly. This is the entrance of the Samsara sect. It's not for a mere saint like you to behave atrociously. Really? Jian Wushuang smiled disdainfully, but he glanced at Demon Master Chenhua beside him. Chenhua, do it. It's really troublesome to follow you around. There are enemies everywhere. Demon Master Chenhua complained, but he still made his move at the first moment. Boom! Demon Master Chenyuo's aura, which had been hidden all this time, suddenly burst out like a tsunami. In an instant, the world-destroying aura suppressed the entire area. 6 states of the void. When the experts of the Samsara sect felt this aura, their expressions changed drastically. However, Demon Master Chenhua had already turned into a gray stream of light and appeared directly in front of the Samsara sect master and the first elder. These two were experts at the peak of the 4th state of the void and were the 2 strongest people in the Samsara sect. And now, Demon Master Chenyuo's target was the 2 of them. Be careful! The Samsara sect master shouted. The moment he saw the Demon Master Chenhua make his move, he and the first elder beside him immediately reacted. The 2 instantly unleashed their strongest strength, joining hands to block the Demon Master Chenhua. But in the end, the Demon Master Chenhua only casually waved his palm, and the terrifying power of the Peak Void's 6th level directly crushed the Samsara sect master. And the first elder's attack, the majestic power, also directly covered the 2 of them. The 2 figures immediately retreated in a sorry state. They can't withstand a single blow. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. The Demon Master curled his lips and charged forward again. The expressions of the Samsara sect master and the great elder changed drastically when they saw this. They hurriedly blocked the attack of the Demon Master. On the other side, Jian Wushuang also attacked. The 2 strongest 4 Void Realm experts of the Samsara sect were completely crushed by Demon Master Chenhua. Although there were still many Principles Masters left, the strongest Rule Masters were only in the 3 Void Realm. Moreover, there were no experts who specialized in the soul. Jian Wushuang directly used Shadowless Escape technique against these Principles Masters. Buzz. He suddenly appeared behind the Principles Masters silently. The Principles Masters in the 2nd and 3rd realms of the void could not sense his exact location. They could not react in time to Jian Wushuang's bloody sword skill. Chi, 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 chi. The scarlet sword light easily penetrated the divine bodies of the Principles Masters. In the blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang had penetrated the divine bodies of 4 Principles Masters. Although they did not die because of their immortal bodies, they immediately consumed about 30 to 40% of their divine power. Moreover, Jian Wushuang continued to assassinate them. In short, while the Principles Masters of the Samsara sect were completely terrified. Stop. The Samsara sect master, who had been completely crushed by Demon Master Chenhua, began to shout as his divine power was being consumed by Demon Master Chenyuo's attacks. Jian Wushuang's blood mountain sword pierced through the divine body of a Principles Master for the 9th time. At that moment, he heard the Samsara sect master shout and immediately stopped. Dark Chaos sect master, Can I enter the Samsara heaven realm now? Jian Wushuang's gaze was cold, and there was a hint of killing intent in the depths of his eyes. This hint of killing intent caused the Samsara sect master's heart to tremble. It was as if he dared to say no, these principals masters of the Samsara sect would be completely killed by the other party. The short, fierce battle just now had fully demonstrated that Jian Wushuang indeed possessed such strength. As long as there were no experts of the Void Fourth Realm or above to interfere, Jian Wushuang could indeed kill the principals masters of the Void Second and Third Realms with his shadowless escape art. As for Samsara Sect Master and the Great Elder of the Samsara Sect, these two experts of the Void Fourth Realm, even if they joined hands to face Demon Master Qinhua, they would be completely crushed. Even if Demon Master Qinhua attacked with his full strength, both of their lives were in danger. Chapter 3391. In the Samsara Sect, this heavenly sword marquis is only at the saint level, but I didn't expect him to be so powerful that even a Void third stage expert couldn't do anything against his assassination. Also, what is the background of this person in front of me? He is a powerful expert of the 6 states of the Void, and he has probably reached the peak of the 6 states of the Void. How could he follow Heavenly Sword Marquis and listen to his orders? The Samsara Sect Master looked at Demon Master Qinhua in shock. Although they had only exchanged blows for a short period of time, the strength of the Demon Master Qinhua had completely frightened him. If I don't agree to let him enter the Samsara Sect, with their strength, they will definitely be able to kill all the principals masters of the Samsara Sect. Even I might not have a chance to survive. Even if we hide in the sect and use the sect protecting formation to block them, if they are blocked outside, the powerful disciples of the Samsara Sect will never be able to leave again. After thinking for a while, the Samsara Sect Master made up his mind. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I can take you to the Samsara Heaven Realm, but you must leave the Samsara Sect as soon as you come out of the Samsara Heaven Realm. You must never step into the Samsara Sect again. Humph! If it weren't for the Samsara Heaven Realm, I wouldn't be interested in your Samsara Sect at all. Jian Wushuang snorted. Lead the way. The Samsara Sect Master restrained his aura and took a deep look at Jian Wushuang, then began to lead the way. As for the principals masters of the Samsara Sect, although they felt very aggrieved, they could only suppress their anger when they thought of the strength of Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua. As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. Since the Samsara Sect was able to stand up until now, they knew their limits. In the face of absolute strength, they could only bow their heads. Soon, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua entered the Samsara Sect. The huge sect was magnificent and grand. Compared to the supreme emotion-forgetting valley, it was indeed majestic and grand. However, this was mainly because the sect of the supreme emotion-forgetting valley mainly focused on peace and tranquility. They did not pursue the sect's imposing manner. After entering the Samsara Sect, Jian Wushuang immediately sensed the vast power of reincarnation in the center of the secret land of heaven and earth, which attracted him deeply. The Samsara Sect mainly focuses on comprehending the Samsara principles. The power of the Samsara principles in the sect is much denser than in other places, but the power of the Samsara principles gathered in the center is dozens of times denser than in other places in the Samsara Sect. The power of the Samsara principles is so strong. Is it the location of the Samsara Heaven Realm? Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. Sure enough, the Samsara Sect Master soon brought Jian Wushuang to the center of the secret land of heaven and earth, where the power of the Samsara principles that Jian Wushuang sensed was the strongest. This is the Samsara Heaven Realm. The Samsara Sect Master looked at the vast territory covered by the restriction and said slowly, the Samsara Heaven Realm was created by the founder of the Samsara Sect. It's the best saint realm for comprehending the samsara principles. However, since the founding of the samsara heaven realm by the Ancestor, the samsara heaven realm has been covered by the restriction. This restriction is indestructible. Even a master of the saint realm would not be able to break it by force. For hundreds of millions of years, only those who have the samsara bead are qualified to enter the samsara heaven realm. As for others, even the genius disciples of the Samsara sect, and even the sect master of the Samsara sect, they can't enter the samsara heaven realm without the samsara bead. Jian Wushuang looked at the territory in front of him, but his heart was extremely shocked. After all, he had sensed the power of the principles of reincarnation in this territory when he just entered the Samsara sect. It was dozens of times stronger than other places, but he did not expect it to be covered by a restriction. If he really entered the samsara heaven realm, how strong would the power of the principles of reincarnation be? It was probably far beyond his imagination, and the effect of comprehending the principles of reincarnation in a place with such a strong power of the principles of reincarnation was naturally much better than other places. Of course, the samsara heaven realm was certainly more beneficial to a cultivator comprehending the samsara principles. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I can only take you so far. Race the samsara bead. You can go in by yourself. The Samsara sect master returned the samsara bead to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took it and nodded slightly. Then he glanced at Demon Master Qinhua and said, "Qinhua, wait for me here." Demon Master Qinhua shrugged. Jian Wushuang immediately rushed toward the area covered by the restriction. Because of the samsara bead, the restriction did not hinder Jian Wushuang, so he easily entered the samsara heaven realm. Many experts of the Samsara sect were upset when they saw Jian Wushuang enter the samsara heaven realm. He is the enemy of the Samsara sect, but we can only watch him enter the samsara heaven realm. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. There's nothing we can do. His strength is too strong. Heavenly Sword Marquis is still okay, although his assassination skills are excellent. As long as an expert of the Void Fourth Realm appears, we have a chance to deal with him. But the key is this man. Many of the principal's masters of the Samsara sect could not help but look at Demon Master Qinhua. Indeed, although Jian Wushuang's strength and skills made them very difficult to deal with, it was not enough to make the entire Samsara sect afraid. But Demon Master Qinhua, his strength alone was enough to make the Samsara sect tremble. After all, there was no one in the Samsara sect who could contend with Demon Master Qinhua, not even one or two experts who could barely deal with him. Sir, as far as I know, although there are many experts in the Temporal Temple, I don't think you are one of them. Am I right? The Samsara sect master came to the front of the Demon Master Qinhua and asked. His attitude was rather humble, did not have any connection with the Temporal Temple, but not long ago, I became one of the worshippers of the Temporal Temple. The Demon Master Qinhua said coldly. Worshippers. The Samsara sect master was stunned. He did not know that the Temporal Temple had such a position. He smiled. The Samsara sect master continued. Heavenly Sword Marquis took the samsara bead and entered the samsara heaven realm. Under normal circumstances, he could stay in the samsara heaven realm for a month. He would only come out after a month. Although this month is not long, it would be too boring if you were to wait here. Why don't you come with me to my Samsara sect? While the Samsara sect master was in awe of a super powerhouse like the Demon Master Qinhua, he also wanted to befriend him. There's no need. I'll wait here. The Demon Master Qinhua rejected him directly. In that case, please make yourself at home. The Samsara sect master laughed dryly and did not say anything else. Instead, he left with the Samsara Sect's Principles Masters. Chapter 3392, Revenge in the Magnificent Palace of the Samsara Sect. Many experts of the Samsara Sect were gathered here. Sect Master, are we going to watch Heavenly Sword Marquis do whatever he wants in the Samsara Sect? The first elder of the Samsara Sect asked in a low voice. The others also looked at the Samsara Sect Master. In fact, the other experts of the Samsara Sect did not have any great enmity against Jian Wushuang. The key was the Sect Master. He had killed his son with Jian Wushuang. This enmity was extremely great. I don't want to, but my skills are inferior to his. The Samsara Sect Master clenched his hands, and his body trembled slightly. It's one thing for Heavenly Sword Marquis to have great strength, but I didn't expect him to have such a terrifying figure by his side. An expert at the peak of the sixth void realm is not someone the Samsara Sect can afford to offend. Hearing this, everyone felt helpless. The Samsara Sect's first elder spoke. There are very few Principles Masters in the 6 levels of the void realm in the entire divine beginning realm. Any one of them can become the ruler of some transcendent powers or even their strongest trump card. For example, the 4 famous divine clans in the third heaven only have 6 levels of the void realm as their strongest experts. It's unknown if there are any 6th level void realm experts in the 8 directions heavenly sect. Tunder, where this Heavenly Sword Marquis got an expert at the peak of the 6 states of the void as a helper. What is the background of this expert at the peak of the 6 states of the void? Wanted to invite that person over just now and ask him about his background, but he rejected me, said the Samsara Sect Master. They were curious about the background of the Demon Master Chenhua. After all, although the divine beginning realm was vast, there were very few experts at the 6 states of the void. There were only a few of them, so it was surprising that such a powerful expert at the peak of the 6 states of the void had appeared. Oh, right. I heard that Heavenly Sword Marquis called this person Chenhua. An elder suddenly said. Yes, I heard it too. Another elder said. Chenhua. Samsara Sect Master frowned slightly. This name sounds familiar. I should have heard of it before. Samsara Sect Master tried hard to recall, but he could not recall it for a moment. But at this moment, the eyes of the first elder beside him suddenly shrank. Chenhua, could it be Demon Master Chenhua? The Demon Master Chenhua. The Samsara Sect Master immediately looked over. Nearly 200 million years ago, there was an overlord sect in the second heaven, the Amethyst Demon Sect. At that time, there was a very famous genius elder in the Amethyst Demon Sect, the Demon Master Chenhua. Could it be this person? The first elder said in a deep voice. As soon as he said this, there was a commotion in the hall, but the Samsara Sect Master immediately said, No wonder I find it familiar. It's the Demon Master Chenhua from the Amethyst Demon Sect. Tay heard of this genius elder before. However, the Amethyst Demon Sect has been destroyed for nearly 200 million years. That genius elder should have died by now. As for this mysterious expert, although his name is also Chenhua, he might not be the same Demon Master Chenhua from before. After all, there are too many repetitions of his name and reputation in this world. We will know soon if it is the Demon Master Chenhua. The first elder immediately began to search for information about the Amethyst Demon Sect. In just a moment, the first elder raised his head again. It's confirmed. The expert at the peak of the 6th level of the void in our Samsara Sect is the Amethyst Demon Sect's genius elder, the Demon Master Chenhua. The first elder said, seriously, what? It's true. It's really Demon Master Chenhua. It's been almost 200 million years, and this genius elder is still alive The Samsara Sect's principals masters were all shocked. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. The Samsara Sect master was pleasantly surprised. Demon Master Chinhua, it's really Demon Master Chinhua. Haha, the heavens are helping me. Sect master, the first elder, and the rest looked at the Samsara Sect master in confusion. The Samsara Sect master's laughter stopped. He said coldly, "The Demon Master Chinhua is from the Amethyst Demon Sect, and he is extremely talented. However, don't forget that the Amethyst Demon Sect was destroyed by the Flame Saint Realm. It can be said that the Flame Saint Realm is the Demon Master Chenhuo's greatest enemy. If this Demon Master Chinhua has the chance, he will definitely take revenge on the Flame Saint Realm without hesitation. Similarly, once the Flame Saint Realm knows that the Demon Master Chinhua is still alive and that he has reached the peak of the 6 states of the void, he will definitely treat the Demon Master Chinhua as a great threat and will definitely think of a way to kill him." Hearing this, the experts of the Samsara Sect understood what the Samsara Sect master meant. "Sect master, are you trying to tell the Flame Saint Realm that the Demon Master Chinhua is still alive?" The first elder looked over. "That's right, the Flame Saint Realm has always been high and mighty. They will not allow a powerful enemy with extraordinary talent who has already reached the peak of the 6 states of the void to remain alive. As long as I tell the Flame Saint Realm about this, the Flame Saint Realm will likely send their experts over immediately. Even the Flame Saint Master will personally come. In addition, the hatred between the Heavenly Sword Marquis and the Flame Saint Realm is even greater. When that time comes, the Flame Saint Master might attack both of them at the same time." Samsara Master laughed coldly. "Of course, Heavenly Sword Marquis life-saving skills are heaven-defying, and he is highly regarded by the Temporal Temple Master. Now that he dares to venture into the 3rd heaven, he must have enough support and not be worried that the 3 Saint Realms will attack him. Therefore, even if Flame Saint Realm arrives, it will be difficult for him to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. However, Flame Saint Master is absolutely confident that he can kill Demon Master Chinhua. As long as I kill Demon Master Chinhua and make Heavenly Sword Marquis lose a big helper, it'll be able to ease the hatred in my heart." After hearing the Samsara Sect master's words, the principals masters of the Samsara Sect looked at each other in dismay and nodded secretly. Indeed, Jian Wushuang was very difficult to kill. This had been proven on the Saha Island. Now, even if the 3 Saint Realms came together again, they might not be able to kill Jian Wushuang. However, although Demon Master Chinhua was stronger than Jian Wushuang, his life-saving ability was not that great. The Flame Saint Master was definitely capable of killing him. To contact the Flame Saint Realm now, Samsara Sect Master immediately began to contact him. In just a moment, he had informed the Saint Realm of the news that Demon Master Chinhua was still alive and had reached the peak of the 6th Void Realm. Of course, he also told them that Demon Master Chinhua was with Jian Wushuang. After sending the message, Samsara Sect Master began to look forward to it. "Heavenly Sword Marquis, you have great means and the support of the Temporal Temple. I don't dare to seek revenge on you, but the Flame Saint Realm does. I'd like to see how the Flame Saint Master killed your helper when he came in person." Chapter 3393. Do not provoke. In the Flame Saint Realm, at the peak of a vast sea of fire, there was a Flame Saint Palace. This Flame Saint Palace was where Flame Saint Master lived. You are saying that there are still people from the Amethyst Demon Sect that I personally destroyed, and they have already reached the pinnacle of the 6 stages of the void? Flame Saint Master's entire body was covered in flames, controlling the endless sea of fire around him. There seemed to be flames burning in his eyes as well. Right below Flame Saint Master, a purple-robed elder was kneeling respectfully. When he heard Flame Saint Master's words, he immediately replied respectfully, "Saint Master, this news was personally transmitted by the Samsara Sect Master. It shouldn't be fake." And the demon master Chinhua that he mentioned was a genius elder of the Amethyst demon sect back then. His talent was extremely high, and our Flame Saint Master did not kill him when we destroyed the Amethyst demon sect. In addition, not long ago, there was news from the Xiaoyao mansion that they met an expert left behind by the Amethyst demon sect in the Amethyst Fog Sea. Even Marquis Xiaoyao was easily defeated by him. If I'm not mistaken, it should be this demon master Chinhua. Who would have thought that after such a long time, there would still be survivors from the Amethyst demon sect? Flame Saint Master's expression was cold, and his eyes were filled with shocking killing intent. Saint Master, this demon master Chinhua, himself, is a super genius with incredible talent. According to the news from Xiaoyao Mansion, he has been staying in a heaven and earth secret realm within the Amethyst Fog Sea all these years. He hasn't had any contact with the outside world, hasn't experienced anything, and hasn't obtained any opportunities. He has purely relied on himself to blindly cultivate, yet he has still raised his strength to the peak of the 6th level of the void. With such ability, our Flame Saint realm has no choice but to guard against him. The violet-robed old man said he could reach the peak of the 6th level of the void realm just by blindly cultivating. His talent is indeed extraordinary. Now that he has come out of the heaven and earth secret realm, with his talent, he might have a chance to break through to the ruler level. Once he reaches that level, he would pose a great threat to the Flame Saint realm. Flame Saint realm nodded slightly. However, with his current strength alone, I'm afraid that no one within my Flame Saint realm has the ability to kill him unless I personally take action. That's right. That's why I've come to ask Saint Master to personally take action. The purple-robed elder said respectfully. In addition, after this demon master Chinhua left the Amethyst Fog Sea, he established a relationship with the Temporal Temple. Now, he's been following Heavenly Sword Marquis like a guard. What did you say? Flame Saint Master was finally moved. This demon master Chinhua is following Heavenly Sword Marquis? Yes. The purple-robed elder nodded. Flame Saint realm fell silent. This silence lasted for a long while before he spoke. Have people keep an eye on Heavenly Sword Marquis and Demon Master Chinhua. Remember, just keep an eye on them. There is no need for any other actions. Our Flame Saint realm will not provoke them for now. Not provoke them? The purple-robed elder was stunned. He asked subconsciously, is it because of Heavenly Sword Marquis? Yes. Flame Saint realm did not hide it. During the battle on the Saha Island, Heavenly Sword Marquis displayed an extremely powerful technique. Although his strength does not belong to him, and he will not have such strength in the future, after that battle, the Temporal Temple Master will definitely give him other life-saving methods. With the strength of the 3 Saint Realms, we have no chance to kill him. Since I can't kill him, I won't provoke him for now. When I have absolute confidence in the future, it won't be too late to attack him. As for the Demon Master, Chinhua, even though he is extremely talented, he has wasted so many years in the process. I'm afraid that he has wasted a lot of his talent. Even if he is extremely lucky in the future and can break through to the ruler level, it won't be a big deal. A mere ruler level has no influence on the situation of the divine beginning realm. Although he can pose a threat to the Flame Saint realm, it's impossible for him to threaten the position of the Flame Saint realm. To put it bluntly, what the Flame Saint realm should really pay attention to is the Heavenly Sword Marquis. He is the enemy that can seriously threaten the position of the Flame Saint realm and the three great saint realms. As for the demon Master Chenhua, he is far from the Heavenly Sword Marquis. Understood, your subordinate will take his leave. The purple-robed old man immediately bowed and left. After the purple-robed old man left, the Flame Saint Master was the only one left in the huge flame divine hall. At this moment, a large amount of raging flames surged around the Flame Saint Master's body, and his gaze was extremely scorching. Heavenly Sword Marquis, the three great saint realms can't do anything to you now. But just you wait. Before long, your doomsday will come, just like your master Xian Yi from countless years ago. If he dies, you will die too. As for the Temporal Temple and the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, anyone who dares to stand on your side will die. Ha ha ha. Wild laughter echoed throughout the entire Flame Temple. The laughter stirred up the surrounding sea of fire, making it even more vigorous. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBoxNovel.com. Thanks. In the Samsara, heaven realm of the Samsara sect, Jian Wushuang had already entered the Samsara heaven realm. When he actually appeared in the Samsara heaven realm, Jian Wushuang could sense how vast and rich the power of the Samsara principles was. The power of the Samsara principles on such a scale is probably hundreds of times richer than in the outside world. If I meditate on the Samsara principles here, my speed will be dozens of times faster than in the outside world, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. While sensing the strong power of the law of reincarnation around him, Jian Wushuang also took in the Samsara heaven realm in front of him. From the outside, the Samsara heaven realm looked like a vast territory. However, after entering, Jian Wushuang saw nothing but darkness and desolation. There was no life in the void in his eyes. It was filled with a dead aura that almost filled the entire sky. The aura of death is so dense. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. The aura of death is ethereal, but why does it give me an unfathomable feeling as if it's an extremely special power that even I haven't touched yet? Yes, it's power. Jian Wushuang's eyes sparkled. And then a smile appeared on his lips. It's said that the Samsara heaven realm is an excellent place to meditate on the Samsara principles, but what I'm seeing right now clearly doesn't meet this requirement. However, the aura of death I'm sensing is extraordinary. I'd like to see where the source of this aura of death is. Jian Wushuang smiled and immediately sent his consciousness toward the surrounding aura of death. Chapter 3394, The Power of Death. And the power of life, the aura of death, was cold, gloomy, suffocating, and could even annihilate all living beings. Moreover, the aura of death was extraordinarily vast. As Jian Wushuang's consciousness covered it, he could not completely cover it. He could only continue to explore along the aura of death. As a result, the aura of death became more and more extensive. Jian Wushuang finally realized that the aura of death he sensed before was only the tip of the iceberg of the Samsara heaven realm. The aura of death in the Samsara heaven realm was so extensive that the entire Samsara heaven realm could not accommodate it. Underground. The source of this aura of death is very deep underground, and its range is very vast. The secret realm of heaven and earth where the Samsara sect is located is actually covered by this aura of death. Even outside the secret realm of heaven and earth, the underground of a large territory is filled with this aura of death. However, because this aura of death is hidden too deep underground, it's almost impossible to find it. Only by slowly exploring the aura of death in the Samsara heaven realm can I sense the existence of this vast aura of death. Jian Wushuang was secretly shocked. He originally thought that the Samsara heaven realm was as big as he could see with the naked eye, but in fact, the coverage of the entire Samsara heaven realm was far beyond his imagination. The area covered by the vast aura of death that he sensed was already very shocking, but he still could not sense the source of the aura of death. Suppressing his shock, Jian Wushuang continued to sense along the aura of death. Slowly, he sensed a huge sea of aura of death. And at the end of the sea of aura of death, Jian Wushuang suddenly felt a completely different power. This is the power of life. Jian Wushuang was stunned. He felt the death aura in the Samsara heaven realm, and along the death aura, he sensed a huge sea of death aura. However, at the other end of the sea of death aura, there was a huge amount of power of life. The power of life contained vigorous vitality, which was completely opposite to the death aura. What's going on? Jian Wushuang frowned, full of doubts. But at this moment, little guy, you're lucky. A wicked voice suddenly sounded. Jian Wushuang suddenly woke up and opened his eyes. Who is it? Jian Wushuang looked around, but did not see any human figure. He immediately realized that the voice did not seem to come from the outside world, but through his consciousness. It directly reached his heart. And his consciousness was in the sea of death chi. As expected, as Jian Wushuang's consciousness fell silent again, he saw a hazy figure on the other side of the sea of death chi. The hazy figure looked like an old man in a gray-white robe. There was a strange smile at the corner of his mouth. Who are you? Jian Wushuang asked, with his consciousness. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Gudeng, but people in the outside world usually call me the Samsara Grandmaster, the blurry figure said with a smile. Samsara Grandmaster? Jian Wushuang's expression changed immediately. You're the founder of the Samsara Sect, the Samsara Grandmaster? Yes. The blurry figure nodded slightly. But what you see now is just a strand of my consciousness. As for my original body, it has long gone to explore the depths of the universe battlefield. Jian Wushuang understood that if it was the original body of the Samsara Grandmaster, it would not have been able to stay in the Samsara heaven realm forever. However, it was still very easy for him to leave his consciousness behind. The reason why I left a strand of my consciousness here is actually to wait for a fated person, the Samsara Grandmaster said with a smile. Fated person? What fated person? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. A fated person who can completely excavate this treasure, or rather, this treasure, the Samsara Grandmaster said with a smile. Little guy, you must have used the aura of death from the Samsara heaven realm to extend your consciousness here, right? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. I'm afraid you still don't know what secrets are hidden in the Samsara heaven realm, the Samsara Grandmaster said with a strange expression. Tell me about your understanding of the Samsara heaven realm first. I know that the Samsara heaven realm was created by you personally and is an excellent saint realm for meditating on the Samsara principles. Any expert who meditates on the Samsara principles can gain a lot by entering the Samsara heaven realm. In addition, after you created the Samsara heaven realm, you refined hundreds of Samsara beads and spread them around the divine beginning realm. You even set a rule that only those who have the Samsara beads are qualified to enter the Samsara heaven realm. Jian Wushuang told him everything he knew. As expected, even though so many years have passed, the outside world's understanding of the Samsara heaven realm is still the same. The Samsara Grandmaster laughed. Kid, I'll tell you the truth. Although I established the Samsara heaven realm, all I did was cover it with a magic array and refine the Samsara beads. As for the wonders of the Samsara heaven realm, it has nothing to do with me. I was lucky to find this territory by chance. Like you, I found a big secret hidden under the ground through the death aura I sensed at the beginning. There is endless power of death and endless power of life under the ground. Both the power of death and the power of life are extremely powerful and opposite. However, the power of death and the power of life coexist under the ground and have been perfectly combined to form a huge life and death whirlpool. The whirlpool of life and death. Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted, and his consciousness continued to spread. As expected, on the other end of the power of death was the endless power of life. The power of death and the power of life had long been perfectly combined to form a huge whirlpool of life and death. The moment he felt this whirlpool of life and death, even Jian Wushuang had a deep-seated fear in his soul. The whirlpool of life and death. What is such a huge whirlpool of life and death? Jian Wushuang asked in shock. You don't know what it is? Samsara Grandmaster smiled strangely. The power of life and the power of death. When the two are combined, the first thing that people think of is the rule of life and death. But in fact, when the power of life reaches its peak and combines with the power of death, the thing that is formed is beyond the scope of the rule of life and death. It is the samsara of life and death. In other words, the huge vortex of life and death that you see now is a complete and huge samsara of life and death. The samsara of life and death. Jian Wushuang was completely shocked. Chapter 3395. The big secret, the samsara of life and death, was a legendary supreme existence. Legend had it that after billions of creatures in this world died, their souls would enter the samsara of life and death. Their memories would be forcefully erased, and they would be reincarnated. Even those experts in the divine beginning realm who were extremely powerful and had reached the level of saints or principles masters, although they used their souls as the foundation, once they died, their souls would be destroyed. However, the samsara could still reassemble their destroyed souls and continue the reincarnation without stopping. In his previous life, Jian Wushuang's master, Xian Yi, had used a shocking method to forcefully open the reincarnation passage and send Jian Wushuang and Lung Rushuang into the reincarnation. At that time, Jian Wushuang did not know much about the reincarnation passage. When he reached a certain level in the divine beginning realm, he finally understood what an incredible method it was. The reincarnation passage was to activate the samsara of life and death, and to change the order of the samsara of life and death. It was incredible. But now, the legendary samsara of life and death appeared in front of him. Jian Wushuang was shocked. The samsara of life and death, what a supreme existence. When I found this samsara of life and death, I was shocked. Then I saw an unprecedented opportunity. Samsara Grandmaster's eyes were filled with excitement. I was thinking, the samsara of life and death is right in front of me. If I can refine it and take it for myself, what would it be like? Jian Wushuang could not help but be stunned. Refine the samsara of life and death? Such a transcendent samsara of life and death, which only existed in legends, had incredible abilities. If a cultivator really refined the samsara of life and death and took it for himself, Jian Wushuang also could not believe it. When I first thought of it, I could no longer control myself. From that moment on, I stayed around this samsara and tried to refine it. However, I spent 300 million years, but there was no progress at all. I also understand that it's almost impossible for me to refine this samsara by myself. There's nothing I can do. I can only give up. At this point, the samsara grandmaster could not help but sigh. Refining the samsara of life and death was absolutely an unimaginable thing. Once he completed it, no one knew what level he would reach. but he understood that the samsara of life and death was something that even rulers were far from qualified to touch. It had even exceeded the scope of the divine beginning realm. Once he really refined the samsara of life and death, there was one thing, at the very least, the three great saint domains were nothing in front of him. However, it was a pity that he did not succeed in the end. Although I have already given up on refining this samsara of life and death, this samsara of life and death is still right in front of me. Even if I can't obtain such an incredible opportunity, I can't bear to let it continue to be buried. That's why I created the Samsara sect in the shortest amount of time, right above this samsara of life and death. Afterward, I deliberately covered this place with a magic array and spread the word that this samsara heaven realm is also very useful to cultivators who comprehend the principles of samsara. This is also a fact. A complete samsara of life and death is hidden here. This is naturally extremely useful to experts who have comprehended the principles of samsara. As for my purpose in doing this, it is actually very simple. This is because even though I have not been able to refine this samsara of life and death during my 300 million years of exploration, I have come to a conclusion that only cultivators who have comprehended the principles of samsara have the hope of refining this samsara of life and death. The old me has spread the samsara bead. It is not limited to just one samsara sect. I hope that all the experts in the divine beginning realm who are extremely talented in the principles of samsara will have the chance to come to this samsara heaven realm. When they arrive here, they will be able to sense the existence of this samsara of life and death through that aura of death. However, most people will only be able to sense the power of death for the first time. They will not be able to sense the power of life. Since they can't even sense the power of life, they can't sense the entire samsara of life and death. Therefore, these people also have no hope of refining the samsara of life and death. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang had a general understanding. So, you left your consciousness in that part of the power of life. Only when someone comes to the samsara heaven realm and senses the existence of the power of death and the power of life through the aura of death will your consciousness appear and tell you everything. Jian Wushuang asked curiously. That's right. Samsara Grandmaster smiled slightly. Although I can't refine the samsara, I hope someone can refine it. However, I don't want to spread the news of the existence of the samsara here. If everyone knows about it, it might attract some existences in the universe battlefield. Therefore, I'm looking for some fated people in this way. Now that you have sensed the existence of the power of death and the power of life through the aura of death, you can naturally sense the entire samsara of life and death. Therefore, my consciousness appeared to tell you all this, and you are naturally one of the fated ones. Before you, although many experts came to the samsara heaven realm through the samsara beads, only 3 people were qualified to sense the power of life and let my consciousness appear. You are the 4th. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBoxNovel. Thanks. I see. Jian Wushuang understood. Boy, you can sense the existence of the samsara of life and death when you first came to the samsara heaven realm. Moreover, you are just an immortal saint. When you grow stronger, you will have a chance to refine the samsara of life and death. Just cultivate well. Samsara Grandmaster said, I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded. Well, I've told you the secret of the samsara heaven realm. You can keep it to yourself, but don't spread it. It won't do you any good. As for whether you can succeed in the future, it depends on your luck. Also, the samsara bead can only allow you to stay in the samsara heaven realm for a month. During this month, you only need to improve your comprehension of the samsara principles. You don't need to think about refining the samsara of life and death. when your strength increases and you have the ability to directly break the restriction I've set up around the Samsara heaven realm, you can try to refine the Samsara of life and death without relying on the Samsara bead. Samsara Grandmaster smiled, faintly. After he finished speaking, the hazy figure formed by his consciousness disappeared, and the voice of Samsara Grandmaster did not ring in Jian Wushuang's heart anymore. Chapter 3396, The Rules of Reincarnation. Seeing the Samsara Grandmaster's figure disappear, Jian Wushuang understood that the reason why the Samsara Grandmaster's consciousness appeared was to tell him the secret of the Samsara heaven realm. Now that he had told him, his consciousness naturally fell silent again. The Samsara of life and death. If it really is the legendary Samsara of life and death, then this opportunity is too great, Jian Wushuang exclaimed in his heart. But at the same time, he also understood that if it really was the Samsara of life and death, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven to refine it. For example, the Samsara Grandmaster himself was extremely powerful. He created the Samsara Sect with great means. Although he might not have reached the overlord level, his strength and his understanding of the Samsara principles among the experts born in the divine beginning realm who were good at the Samsara principles, there were definitely few who were good at it. However, such an expert, who was extremely talented in Samsara principles, had studied it for 300 million years without making any progress. One could imagine how difficult it was to refine and master the Samsara of life and death. Such a great fortune is placed in front of me, but am afraid I won't be able to enjoy it. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. Perhaps in the future, when he grew up and reached the peak level that the Samsara Grandmaster had mentioned, he would try to break the restrictions around the Samsara heaven realm. But now, Jian Wushuang would not waste a month's time refining the Samsara. The Samsara is a complete Samsara. I will meditate in it. It will definitely help me to master the Samsara principles. I wonder if I have the chance to improve the Samsara principles and master the Samsara principles in this month. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. Once the Samsara principles was improved, his strength would also be greatly enhanced. Let's begin. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate and sat down cross-legged in the Samsara heaven realm. His consciousness still covered the entire Samsara with the death aura. He carefully observed and felt the Samsara. He felt the power of life and death in the Samsara and the complete Samsara principles. The combination of life and death is perfect. The power of life and death is connected with the power of Samsara. Many thoughts suddenly appeared in Jian Wushuang's mind. In the Samsara heaven realm, he had seen the Samsara principles too clearly through the Samsara. Soon, he found the part of the Samsara principles that he had not mastered yet. Then, he began to meditate. Time passed quietly. A month passed quickly. The Samsara heaven realm was still filled with the power of the Samsara principles. Even Jian Wushuang's body was filled with the rich Samsara principles. However, as Jian Wushuang slowly opened his eyes, the power of the Samsara principles on his body and around him instantly disappeared. Jian Wushuang sat there with his legs crossed. He looked calm and unremarkable in the Samsara heaven realm. It was as if he belonged to a part of the Samsara heaven realm, or it could be said that the Samsara heaven realm was filled with a part of the Samsara principles. The Samsara heaven realm did not disappoint me. After a month, I have completely grasped the Samsara principles. Jian Wushuang smiled. At this moment, he could already feel the complete power of the Samsara principles. After he had gathered the space-time principles, he had finally completely comprehended the second principle. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. After comprehending the Samsara principles, Jian Wushuang immediately gained another portion of the power of his will. Originally, because he had comprehended the space-time principles and the combination of the space-time principles and the samsara principles, he had already mastered 2 portions of the power of his will. Now that he had also comprehended the samsara principles, he had mastered 3 portions of the power of his will. 3 parts of the power of the will were already at the level of an ordinary expert in the 3rd realm of the void. However, Jian Wushuang had cultivated the life divine power, so it was equivalent to having 1 more part of the power of the will, as well as the heaven-cleaving skill. 1 part of the power of the will could also be comparable to 1 part of the power of the will. If all these were calculated, he now had the power of 5 parts of the power of the will, which was already at the level of an expert in the 5th realm of the void. The principles masters of the 5 void realms were almost at the top level in the divine beginning realm. After all, apart from those masters of the saint realm or experts who had reached the ruler level, there should be less than 20 experts of the 6 void realms in the divine beginning realm, and those below the 6 void realms were the principles masters of the 5 void realms. They were the principles masters of the 5 void realms. Unfortunately, although I have mastered the 3rd part of the power of the will, I still don't feel the slightest sign of a breakthrough. Jian Wushuang frowned. After all, he was still an immortal saint. Although he had reached the peak of the immortal saint and met all the requirements for an ordinary cultivator to break through to the principles master level, and even exceeded them by a lot, a perfect life-level cultivator, it was already much more difficult than other cultivators to break through from the immortal saint realm to the principles master realm. Even though he had mastered 3 portions of the power of the will, he still could not break through. Temporal Temple Master said before that Master seemed to have fused 3 principles before he broke through to the principles master realm. I've only fused 2 principles now, and am still far from Master's level. Jian Wushuang muttered, I can't rush it. I have to take it step by step. After fusing 2 principles, I'll have to figure out a way to comprehend the 3rd principle. The 3rd principle should be the destruction principles. The destruction principles had a higher affinity than the reincarnation principles, which was comparable to the space-time principles. Jian Wushuang would definitely choose the destruction principles as his next principle to comprehend. However, he had not really comprehended the destruction principles before, so he had to start from scratch. It would definitely take a lot of time. If he could have some opportunities or treasures to help him, his progress would be faster. The 1-month deadline is up. The Samsara heaven realm is already rejecting me. I'd better go out first. Jian Wushuang smiled, then stood up and slowly walked out of the heaven realm. Before leaving, Jian Wushuang stopped with some reluctance. His consciousness once again activated the aura of death and felt the complete samsara of life and death. Samsara, I don't know if someone really has the ability to completely refine you. If that person really exists, I hope it's me. With a sigh, Jian Wushuang left the samsara heaven realm. Chapter 3397. Another enemy? After coming out of the samsara heaven realm, Jian Wushuang immediately met up with Demon Master Chenhua, who was guarding outside. Heavenly Sword Marquis, how's your harvest in the samsara heaven realm? Demon Master Chenhua asked casually. Not bad. Jian Wushuang smiled, but he was very satisfied. Indeed, although he had only stayed in the samsara heaven realm for a month, he had completely comprehended the samsara principles and mastered the 3rd part of the power of the will at the same time. He also learned a shocking secret contained in the samsara heaven realm. If this secret was spread out, it would definitely cause a huge wave in the divine beginning realm. Not only in the divine beginning realm, but even in the universe battlefield, it would probably be shocked. Such a harvest was worthy of Jian Wushuang's rejoicing. The trip to the samsara heaven realm has ended. There's no need for us to stay in the Samsara sect anymore. Let's just leave, Jian Wushuang said. Immediately, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua planned to leave. Before leaving, of course, he met with the Samsara sect master and the others. Sect master, take good care of the Samsara sect and the Samsara heaven realm. Don't let the Samsara heaven realm suffer any losses. Maybe he'll go back to the Samsara heaven realm in the future, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. He was telling the truth. After learning the secret of the Samsara heaven realm, as long as his strength grew, he would definitely enter the Samsara heaven realm again to try to refine the Samsara. Humph! The Samsara sect master snorted coldly, but did not say a word. In his heart, the Samsara sect master was puzzled. 1 month ago, when Jian Wushuang had just entered the Samsara heaven realm, he had informed the Flame Saint realm of the whereabouts of Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua. He had thought that the Flame Saint realm would make a move. The Flame Saint realm had even personally descended. However, a month had passed, and the Flame Saint realm had not made a single move. This made him feel very strange, but he did not dare to ask why. Now that Jian Wushuang had come out of the Samsara heaven realm, he could only obediently let Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua leave. What on earth is the Flame Saint realm doing? Samsara sect master could only curse in his heart. If the Flame Saint realm did not show up, he could not avenge Dujiu with the strength of the Samsara sect alone. Jian Wushuang and the Demon Master Chenhua left the Samsara sect without any obstacles or trouble. Just as Jian Wushuang was about to return to the patrol team temporarily, the old master, Ma Yi, personally sent a message to him. My friend, I've encountered some trouble. I'm afraid I can't invite my good friend here to perform the soul peeling. Ma Yi's voice sounded a little melancholic. Senior, what's going on? Jian Wushuang frowned. He needed the help of a Void Sixth Realm expert who was very good at soul peeling to ensure that the soul peeling would not cause great harm to Lung Rushuang. He could ensure that Lung Rushuang's soul could be restored in the future. But how could Ma Yi fail to invite this expert of the 6 realms of void, who was very good at soul manipulation? To tell you the truth, after you left the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, I immediately tried to contact my good friend. Although she is still in seclusion, I first contacted the people around her and wanted to ask when she would come out of seclusion. But during this contact, I learned something. Ma Yi said, "What is it?" Jian Wushuang asked immediately. "You know that my good friend has a grudge with you. So once my good friend finds out that it's your wife who will be stripped of her soul, she will never agree." Ma Yi said, "A huge grudge with me?" Jian Wushuang was shocked. "Why do you have a grudge with me again? I admit that I have offended many experts during my rise, but I don't think they are everywhere." Jian Wushuang was a little angry. He had met the Samsara sect master in the Samsara sect, and he had indirectly killed his son, Dujiu. But now, the expert in the 6th realm of the Void realm that Ma Yi had mentioned had a grudge against him. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Senior, who is your good friend? Jian Wushuang asked. Her name is Daoist, and she is the current Grandmaster of the Nine-Tailed Clan, one of the 4 divine clans. Ma Yi said. Jian Wushuang was stunned, but then a bitter smile appeared on his face. No wonder you said you have a grudge against me. So, it's her? Jian Wushuang had already understood. In fact, he should have guessed it long ago. There was only one expert of the 6 void realms who was good at soul manipulation, not to mention the 3 saint realms. The Nine-Tailed Clan was good at soul manipulation and charm. They were well known in the divine beginning realm and were exceptionally powerful. Jian Wushuang had killed the Nine-Temple Saintess in the Blood Wave realm, who was the daughter of the clan leader of the Nine-Tailed clan. After Jian Wushuang left the Blood Wave realm, the three Saint realms set up an inescapable net to kill him. During this process, the Nine-Tailed clan also sent experts to kill him. At that time, Jian Wushuang met the two sisters of the Nine-Temple Saintess, but the clan leader of the Nine-Tailed clan did not show up. Now Jian Wushuang knew that the clan leader, the mother of the Nine-Temple Saints, had been in closed-door cultivation all these years and had no contact with the outside world. Even if the Nine-Temple Saintess died, she did not show up, but that did not mean that she did not care about her daughter's life. Once the Grandmaster of the Nine-Tailed clan came out of seclusion, the first thing he would do would be to kill Jian Wushuang. On this basis, Jian Wushuang still wanted the Grandmaster to strip his wife's soul? Was that possible? Even if the Grandmaster of the Nine-Tailed clan and Ma Yi were good friends and had an extraordinary relationship, the Grandmaster of the Nine-Tailed clan would definitely not tolerate Jian Wushuang, who killed her daughter. The clan leader of the Nine-Tailed clan has a great enmity with me. It's impossible for me to rely on her to peel off my wife's soul. It seems that he'll have to find another expert. Jian Wushuang muttered, "I'm sorry, my young friend. I thought that my good friend would help, but now Ma Yi sent a message. You can't blame me for this. You can only blame me for provoking too many enemies." Jian Wushuang shrugged. Then he asked, "Senior, do you know of any other experts in the sixth realm of the void who are good at soul manipulation? You don't know two of them, but they are very old. Whether they are still in the divine beginning realm is not the same. I can try to find them, but you'd better not pin all your hopes on me. You can ask the Temporal Temple to look for them. Maybe you can find them," said Ma Yi. Chapter 3398, The Ninth Ancestor. Thank you, Senior. Jian Wushuang understood what Ma Yi meant. After communicating with Ma Yi, he immediately took out Temple Master by Xing's message token, an expert of the sixth realm of the void who specializes in the soul. Temple Master by Xing was a little surprised. "Heavenly Sword Marquis, why are you asking this?" "Of course it's something very important. Do you know about it, Temple Master by Xing?" Jian Wushuang asked. "There are not many experts of the six realms of the void in the divine beginning realm, and those who specialize in the soul are even rarer. One of them is the clan leader of the Nine-Tailed clan, Temple Master by Xing said. Forget about the clan leader of the Nine-Tailed clan. I killed her daughter. There's no way to resolve the enmity between us, Jian Wushuang said. Aside from the clan leader of the Nine-Tailed clan, there's only one person I know who can fulfill your request, Temple Master by Xing said. Who is it? Jian Wushuang asked immediately. It's Spirit Ancestor from the Divine Ancestor Daoist Sect. Temple Master by Xing said, seriously, the Divine Ancestor Daoist Sect is one of the 3 freedom alliances like our temporal temple. Its overall strength is huge, and there are many top experts. Spirit Ancestor is one of the top experts in the Divine Ancestor Daoist Sect. This Spirit Ancestor has long reached the level of the 6 states of the void, and it is said that she has already reached the peak of the 6 states of the void, and her best technique is soul attacks. Her attainments in the aspect of the soul are definitely one of the best in the entire divine beginning realm. Even compared to the Nine-Tailed clan's Grandmaster, she is probably on par. She should be able to satisfy your request. However, this Spirit Ancestor has an extremely cold and aloof personality. She does not care about the affairs of the world. She is clearly one of the top experts of the Heavenly Ancestor Daoist Sect, and has a very high status in the Heavenly Ancestor Daoist Sect. She has even obtained the title of Ancestor. However, there are no experts under her command. Therefore, Among the 9 ancestors of the Heavenly Ancestor Daoist sect, the spirit ancestor is the weakest. She is basically an empty shell. It will be difficult for you to ask her for help. Hearing Temple Master Bai Xing's words, Jian Wushuang smiled. It's difficult, but it doesn't mean that there's no hope. It just so happens that I have some conflicts with the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. I had planned to go to the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect when I had time, but now it's just in time. In that case, I'll go to the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect now. Jian Wushuang did have some connection with the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. When Jian Wushuang was just a divine master in the Endless Territories, he entered the secret realm of a mysterious expert by chance. Is the Heavenly Ancestor Taoist Temple blood clan line under the rule of the Master Shui Bei. In the secret realm of heaven and earth of Shui Bei, Jian Wushuang had a great opportunity. Even the Peerless Sword Manual was created in the secret realm of heaven and earth of Shui Bei. He had promised Shui Bei that he would go to the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect on his behalf. However, for various reasons, he had not gone before. This time, it was obvious that he had to go. Temple Master Bai Xing, please send me the information of the sects and experts of the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. Jian Wushuang said. Wait a moment. In just a moment, Temple Master Bai Xing sent a large amount of information, and Jian Wushuang immediately began to browse through it. It's also one of the 3 Freedom Alliances, but there are so many factions in the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. Jian Wushuang looked at the information and was secretly amazed. Although most of the forces or sects appeared to be an iron bucket, in fact, there were some internal struggles for benefits. It was the same for the sects of the weaker forces, but the internal struggles for benefits were even greater for the top forces and sections. For example, the 3 Saint realms often fought against each other. But did the 3 Saint realms not usually compete and kill each other? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. In the 3 Freedom Alliances, the Temporal Temple had too few experts and was always more united, so it was a bit special. It was only a competition for some small benefits, and there were no factions. But the other 2 Freedom Alliances, like the Heaven Cleaving Alliance, also had 2 great factions. One of the great factions was led by the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven Cleaving Palace, while the other great faction was led by the 2 famous heaven-severing divine generals of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. It was said that the 2 heaven-cleaving divine generals were both top experts at the 6th realm of the void. They also had many resources under their command. They could completely contend with the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Palace. As for the Heavenly Ancestor Daoist sect, there were even more factions. Among them, the famous 9 ancestors were the 9 largest factions. For these 9 ancestors to be able to be called ancestors, each of them had astonishing strength. The weakest were usually experts at the peak of the 5th level of the void, and a few of them had even reached the 6th level of the void. A total of 9 great factions coexisted, and it was very difficult to achieve absolute fairness in the distribution of some of the resources within the Heavenly Ancestor Daoist sect. Thus, naturally, they had to compete and fight. Only the sect that was like Spirit Ancestor, which did not care about worldly affairs and did not have any experts under it, was special. The other 8 sects fought fiercely, including Shui Bai's Blood Ancestor sect. Among the 9 sects of the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect, 4 of them are the strongest and have experts of the 6 void realms overseeing them. The Blood Ancestor sect is one of them. Jian Wushuang read the message sent by Temple Master Bai Xing. If I want to go to the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect and ask for the help of the Spirit Ancestor, I can go to the Blood Ancestors branch and finish what Shui Bei asked me to do. Jian Wushuang smiled. Then he took out another token, which belonged to his good friend Jiu Luo. Brother Heavenly Marquis, when did you remember me? Jiu Luo replied, Jiu Luo, you should be a disciple of the Dao Palace now, right? Jian Wushuang smiled. Jiu Luo came to the third heaven with him through the white bone field. Later, because of Jiu Luo, Jian Wushuang had some dealings with the people of the divine ancestor Daoist sect. Tam, although I am not a top-level disciple of the Dao Palace, my status is not bad, Jiu Luo said with a smile. Then you should be able to contact Baiju for me, right? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course. Why? Do you need something from Master Baiju? Jiu Luo asked, puzzled. Yes, I need something from him. Give him the message token for me, Jian Wushuang said. Wait a moment. Then Jiu Luo quickly went to find Baiju. Baiju was a principal's master of the divine ancestor Daoist sect. He was also in charge of some matters of the Dao Palace. His status in the divine ancestor Daoist sect was not low. Jian Wushuang had not had much contact with the divine ancestor Daoist sect before. Among the only people he had interacted with, Baiju was the strongest among them. Before long, Jiu Luo found Baiju and handed him the message token. Chapter 3399, Divine Ancestor Daoist Sect. Ha! My dear Heavenly Marquis, it's hard to imagine that you would come to me with your current strength and status. What can I do for you? Baiju was very humble and humble. He always remembered that when Jian Wushuang had just reached the first heaven, he was just a little guy who had just entered the true saint realm. Although he was very talented, he thought highly of him. However, he thought that Jian Wushuang would at most have a chance to challenge the principal's master. Unexpectedly, as time passed, Jian Wushuang's growth rate became more and more astonishing, and his fame in the divine beginning realm also grew, especially the battle on the Saha Island not long ago, which completely shocked the entire divine beginning realm. Until now, not to mention an ordinary principal's master like him, even in the entire divine ancestor Daoist sect, no one would dare to underestimate Jian Wushuang at all. Baiju was both delighted and proud that such a peerless genius had taken the initiative to send a message to him. Obviously, Jian Wushuang remembered him. Mr. Baiju, I do have something to trouble you with, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Just say it. As long as I can do it, I won't refuse, Baiju said. It's like this. For some special reasons, I need to go to the divine ancestor Daoist sect to meet one of the 9 ancestors, spirit ancestor, and ask her to help me. Jian Wushuang said, You want to meet spirit ancestor? You need spirit ancestor's help. Baiju was stunned. Why? Is there a problem? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, there is, Baiju said in a deep voice. My dear Heavenly Marquis, you may have heard that spirit ancestor is the most cold and difficult person to get along with when the 9 ancestors of the Heaven Ancestor Daoist sect are present. Sometimes she is completely unreasonable. With your current status, I'm afraid that no one dares to ignore you. However, spirit ancestor doesn't care who you are. No one can say for sure whether she will see you or not. No, but I have to try anyway, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Well, how about this? I can go to the spirit ancestor's branch for you and see if the spirit ancestor is willing to meet you, Baiju said. No need. Jian Wushuang shook his head. In addition to meeting the spirit ancestor, I have to go to the blood ancestor's branch for some other things. So I'm going to the divine ancestor's Dao field no matter what. The reason I'm sending you a message now is that I hope you can tell the people of the blood ancestors branch for me. Don't let me be turned away when I come to see you. Jian Wushuang had already been rejected twice, and each time he had been rejected directly. But he could not keep fighting his way in, could he? That's easy. Baiju smiled, and said, "How about this? My friend, you can come to the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect now. I will inform the Blood Ancestor lineage in advance, and then I will personally lead you to visit the Blood Clan." "Thank you for your help," Jian Wushuang said gratefully. After the transmission was cut off, Jian Wushuang looked at Demon Master Qinhua and asked, "Qinhua, are you interested in following me to the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect?" "Divine Ancestor Daoist sect." Demon Master Chenyuo's expression changed. It's said that the 9 ancestors of the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect are all super experts. When the Amethyst Demon sect was alive, I had always yearned to fight with one of the 9 ancestors, but I never had the chance. Now that I have the chance, of course, I have to go. It would be even better if I could fight 1 or 2 of the 9 ancestors in the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. "Haha, let's go then." Jian Wushuang laughed heartily and immediately left with Qinhua. The 3 freedom alliances of the Divine Beginning realm were widely recognized as the 3 overlords of ambition. To a certain extent, even the 3 saint realms were extremely fearful of the 3 freedom alliances. The 3 freedom alliances' lairs were also quite special. For example, the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance directly occupied 2 huge stars as their lairs. Moreover, these 2 stars were forcefully refined by someone with great methods. They were not born naturally in the Divine Beginning realm. The Temporal Temple was synonymous with mystery. No one knew the exact location of their lairs. Even the experts of the Temporal Temple could only rely on special methods to enter their lairs. As for the appearance of the Heavenly Ancestor, his lair was also very unique. It was located on a floating piece of land outside the 3rd heaven. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. This piece of land was a huge battlefield. Many years ago, the leader of the Heavenly Ancestor Daoist sect, the Heavenly Ancestor, had transferred it from the cosmic battlefield. In other words, this piece of land did not belong to the Divine Beginning realm. It belonged to the vast universe. Naturally, this land was very different from the other places in the Divine Beginning realm. The conditions for cultivation were much better than the other places in the Divine Beginning realm. The huge floating land was completely covered by a magnificent formation. At the front of the formation, besides many guards standing at the entrance, there were also 2 figures emitting magnificent auras standing there. They were both principal's masters. One of them was Dujiu, who Jian Wushuang had sent a message to, and the other was Master Ku. Back in the Blood Wave realm, countless immortal saints fought for the opportunity of the Blood Wave realm. Master Ku was the strongest immortal saint in the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. He had also received a Blood Wave token. From then on, he broke through to become the principal's master in the Blood Wave realm. My young friend, the Heavenly Marquis, has already sent me a message. He will arrive soon, said Dujiu. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Hearing this name again, Master Ku's expression was extremely complicated. Previously in the Blood Wave realm, this Heavenly Sword Marquis was on equal footing with me. In the beginning, he was even much weaker than me. But now, although he is still an immortal saint, his strength has long surpassed mine. I really don't know how he cultivated. You don't have to be discouraged. I heard from your blood clan that you have already opened the heaven and earth secret realm. I'm afraid that it won't take long for you to complete it. Once you open the heaven and earth secret realm, you will gain another portion of the power of your will. That will be the ruler of the principles of the 2nd realm of the void. Compared to my little friend, the difference isn't too big. Dujiu said. How can it not be too different? 400 years ago, on the Saha Island, this Heavenly Sword Marquis could already fight against experts at the 4 void realms. Now that 400 years have passed, he must be even stronger. Master Ku curled his lips. Beside him, the guards of the heavenly ancestor Daoist sect watched in astonishment as these two leisurely chatted. They were well aware of their strength and status in the heavenly ancestor Daoist sect. Lord 100 Absolute and Master Ku are standing here at the same time. Clearly, they are waiting for someone. But who is it that made these two lords wait here? Those guards were extremely curious. Not long after, two human figures rushed over from the void in front of them. Chapter 3400, The Bloodline of the Blood Ancestor, Coming. Dujiu and Master Ku raised their heads. When they saw the two figures in front of them, they immediately went up to greet them. "Ha! Heavenly Marca, it's good to see you again." Dujiu laughed heartily. "Brother Heavenly Marquis, how have you been?" Master Ku also looked at Jian Wushuang. "Master Ku." Jian Wushuang's expression changed. "My dear Heavenly Marquis, Master Ku happens to be a member of the Blood Ancestors bloodline. He has also interacted with you in the Blood Wave realm. Therefore, when I told the experts of the Blood Ancestors bloodline about this, the Blood Ancestors bloodline sent him to welcome you." Dujiu said. "Is that so?" Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. "My young friend, may I know who's next to you?" Dujiu glanced at Demon Master Chenhua. "He's my guard," Jian Wushuang said straightforwardly, and did not introduce him too much. "Guard." Dujiu and Master Ku looked at Demon Master Chenhua seriously, although the latter did not emit any aura. As an expert, their instincts told them that they could barely sense the enormous pressure emitted by Demon Master Chenhua. The one who could give them such great pressure was undoubtedly a very powerful expert. By the way, is the Blood Ancestor in the Divine Ancestor Dao field? Jian Wushuang asked. "The Blood Ancestor has been wandering in the universe battlefield for years and has not returned for some time. Now, the Master Ancient Wheel is in charge of many matters in the Blood Ancestor branch. After learning that you are coming to visit the Blood Ancestor branch, the Master Ancient Wheel has made preparations. Now, follow me to the Blood Ancestor branch to see the Master Ancient Wheel," Master Ku said. "Okay." Jian Wushuang nodded. Immediately, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua entered the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect under the guidance of Master Ku. They headed toward the location of the Blood Ancestors bloodline. As for Dujiu, he followed along. The 9 ancestors of the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect were one of the 9 major sections. Each sect had a place to live in the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. The Blood Ancestors bloodline lived in a continuous mountain range with more than 10 towering peaks in the middle. Master Ku led Jian Wushuang to the largest peak. "Brother Heavenly Marquis, that's where the Blood Ancestor lineage usually meets. The Master Ancient Wheel is already waiting inside. Let's go down," Master Ku said as he pointed to a towering palace below. Jian Wushuang nodded and followed Master Ku into the towering palace. In the palace, all the principals masters of the Blood Ancestor had gathered here, including Master Ku, because they knew that Heavenly Sword Marquis, who was very famous in the Divine Beginning realm, had come to pay a visit. There were 8 principals masters in total, led by a middle-aged man with a handlebar mustache and a green robe. "Brother Heavenly Marquis, this is the Master Ancient Wheel," Master Ku introduced. "Hello, Master Ancient Wheel," Jian Wushuang said with a smile. "Ha! I've long heard that you're the #1 genius in the history of the Divine Beginning realm, but I've never had the chance to meet you. But today, am finally fortunate enough to meet you." Master Ancient Wheel smiled, but his voice was a bit rough. "Master Ancient Wheel, you're too polite. To be honest, I came here today because I promised someone that I would pass some things to an expert of the blood ancestor's bloodline for him. Jian Wushuang said. Oh. Master Ancient Wheel's expression changed. I wonder who the person that you promised is. His name is Shuebei. If I'm not mistaken, he should also be the principal's master of your blood ancestor's bloodline, Jian Wushuang said. Shuebei. Master Shuebei, if you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. In the hall, the principal's masters of the blood ancestor's bloodline instantly became restless. Master Shuebei, are you saying that the Master Shuebei asked you to come to our blood ancestor's bloodline? Have you met Shuebei? Master Ancient Will was obviously a little anxious. Yes, I've met him, but I've only seen his consciousness. As for his original body, it's already dead. Jian Wushuang said. Dead. Master Ancient Wheel, and the others were not surprised by this result. Many years ago, when they received Shuebei's last message, they had guessed that Shuebei had died. However, they did not know that Shuebei had left a consciousness behind. Shuebei is one of the top combat strength of our blood ancestors' lineage. In terms of strength, he has already grasped a total of 5 portions of the power of will. Even among the principles of the 5 levels of the void, he can be considered relatively strong. Back then, he even dared to venture into the universe battlefield alone and even obtained many opportunities from it. However, he seemed to have obtained some special fortuitous encounter during his adventure in the universe battlefield, which led to him being targeted. When he returned to the divine beginning realm, he was immediately surrounded and killed by a mysterious expert. He was also killed during that encirclement. Although my blood ancestor lineage received his distress message at the first moment because he chose to enter the divine beginning realm from a remote location, he arrived in the endless territory after arriving in the divine beginning realm. The endless territory is too big and far away from the third heaven. Even if the heaven ancestor Dao Sect sent experts to rescue him as soon as possible, we still couldn't save him in time. Master Ancient Will sighed. The principal's masters of the heaven ancestor Dao Sect also had ugly expressions on their faces. Shuebei's death was a great loss to the heaven ancestor Dao Sect. It was a great loss even to the entire heaven ancestor Dao field. Jian Wushuang also knew that Shuebei had indeed obtained a special opportunity in the universe battlefield. He had also discovered a special space-time that was extremely mysterious. Even with Shuebei's strength, he could not see much of it. It was very likely that there would be a great opportunity during the period. Shuebei had recorded the location of the special space-time with a star map, and Shuebei had given the star map to Jian Wushuang on the spot. After hearing what the Master Ancient Will said, Jian Wushuang could not help but guess that it was because of the star map that Shuebei was targeted and killed. Master Ancient Wheel, I did see Shuebei's secret realm in the endless territory, and I also saw his consciousness. At the same time, I also got some opportunities from him. As a condition, I promised him to give this interspatial ring to the experts of the blood ancestor lineage. Jian Wushuang reached out his hand. He took out an interspatial ring. This interspatial ring was given to him by Shuebei. Jian Wushuang had guessed that it was Shuebei's lives accumulation, but he did not take the initiative to look at it. Even though he could easily break the seal Shuebei left in the interspatial ring with his current strength, Jian Wushuang did not break the seal. After all, the interspatial ring was left by Shuebei to the blood ancestor bloodline. Jian Wushuang did not have the slightest intention of coveting it. Even if there was a world-shaking supreme treasure inside, he would not be tempted. Chapter 34:01. Trouble Jian Wushuang did not care about the interspatial ring, but the bloodline of the divine ancestor was different. The heavenly Tao was divided into 9 sections. Because there were many sects, there were not many of them, especially at this time. The bloodline of the blood ancestor needed sufficient resources. What Jian Wushuang brought was the interspatial ring left by Shuebei. It was a lifetime collection of treasures by an expert of the 5 void realms. It was definitely a timely help to the blood ancestor bloodline. Indeed, after Jian Wushuang took out the interspatial ring, Master Ancient Wheel immediately took it. When he saw that the seal left by Shuebei was still intact, he was even more delighted. When he broke the seal on the interspatial ring, after checking the things left inside, the smile on Master Ancient Wheel's face completely appeared. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, I've troubled you this time. On behalf of the entire blood ancestor's bloodline, am extremely grateful to you, Mr. Heavenly Marquis. The Master Ancient Will said with some excitement. There's no need to thank me. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. If you really want to thank me, Shuebei has helped me a lot. If it weren't for him, my growth wouldn't have been so fast. As for bringing this interspatial ring to the blood ancestor's bloodline, it's just a piece of cake for me. That's true, but without you, I'm afraid that the blood ancestor's bloodline would never have been able to get what Shuebei left behind, said Master Ancient Wheel. Let's not talk about this. Jian Wushuang changed the topic. Master Ancient Wheel, apart from handing this interspatial ring to your blood ancestor's bloodline, I also have a favor to ask. Please feel free to tell me. Master Ancient Will appeared to be quite enthusiastic. Well, I have a very important matter to ask for the help of Spirit Ancestor from the Heaven Ancestor Daoist Sect. But I heard that Spirit Ancestor is a reclusive person, and it's very difficult for me to see her, let alone ask for her help. If I ask for her help directly, I'm afraid she might not respond to me. Therefore, I'd like to ask Master Ancient Will to take a trip for me. Jian Wushuang said, Mr. Heavenly Marquis, do you want the Blood Ancestor's branch to invite Spirit Ancestor? Master Ancient Will looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Master Ancient Will frowned, and the principals masters of the Blood Ancestors branch looked at each other in dismay. From their expressions, it was obvious that they were in a difficult position. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, since you know that Spirit Ancestor is a reclusive person who doesn't care about worldly affairs, and she doesn't have much contact with the Blood Ancestors branch, and she has never owed the Blood Ancestors branch anything, I'm afraid it's difficult to ask her to do a favor for the Blood Ancestors branch. Master Ancient Will said. Oh. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. Of course, whether or not Spirit Ancestor does it for the sake of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline, I'll send a message to her personally to give it a try. But I can't guarantee the result, said Master Ancient Wheel. Thank you very much. Jian Wushuang smiled. He knew that even if the Blood Ancestor's bloodline made an appearance, Spirit Ancestor might not necessarily do it for the sake of face. But in any case, it was better for the Blood Ancestor's bloodline to make an appearance than for him to directly ask for an audience. Wait a moment, I'll send a message to ask for you. Now, Master Ancient Will began to send a message in the hall. However, Master Ancient Will was not the Blood Ancestor after all, so he did not have a message token to contact Spirit Ancestor directly. He could only contact a maid who was with Spirit Ancestor. Tvi sent a message to the maid of Spirit Ancestor. She will report to Spirit Ancestor now, but we have to wait for a while. Master Ancient Will said. It's okay. I'll wait here, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, it's rare for you to come to the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. Why don't you have a seat? Master Ancient Will said with a smile. Someone take a look at the tea. Soon, the tea was served. Jian Wushuang sat in the hall with the many principals masters of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. they would occasionally exchange a few words while drinking tea. During this process, Jian Wushuang discovered one thing. The principal's masters of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline looked somewhat worried. Master Ancient Wheel, did something happen in the Blood Ancestor's bloodline recently? Why do you all look worried? Jian Wushuang asked. Well, Master Ancient Will hesitated for a moment, and then said, "To tell you the truth, sir, the Blood Ancestor's lineage has encountered a lot of trouble recently." "Oh, tell me about it." Jian Wushuang was interested. "Sir, I think you know the internal structure of the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. Although it's one of the 3 Freedom Alliances, there are many factions in the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. There are a total of 9 factions. Although these factions have been competing with the outside world, they are constantly competing with each other. Their goal is to get more resources so that they can become stronger." Master Ancient Will began to explain. "And among these 9 factions, 4 of them have always been the strongest. My Blood Ancestor lineage is one of the 4 strongest factions. Not only do we have the Blood Ancestor standing at the very top, who has already reached the peak of the 6th level of the Void, but the Principal's masters under us are also extremely powerful. Although there isn't a second expert of the 6th level of the Void, there are a total of 3 experts of the 5th level of the Void. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Because the higher-ups are so powerful, our Blood Ancestor lineage has always been very powerful among the 9 lineages. We have also occupied a lot of resources. However, an accident happened not long ago. First, one of the 3 Void 5-level experts, Schweb Bei, died. This made our Blood Ancestor lineage a great fighting force. Not long after, when the other Void 5-level expert of our Blood Ancestor lineage was adventuring in the universe battlefield, he encountered a sudden crisis and died in the universe battlefield. This was equivalent to 2 of the 3 Void 5-level experts of our Blood Ancestor lineage dying, leaving only me alive. He sighed. Master Ancient Will continued, "Even if these 2 died, as long as the Blood Ancestor is still alive, our Blood Ancestor bloodline is still very powerful. However, the Blood Ancestor has been wandering in the universe battlefield. Not long ago, he encountered some trouble while wandering in a special dangerous land and was temporarily trapped there. He could not escape for a short period of time, so naturally he could not come back from the universe battlefield." Hearing this, Jian Wushuang's expression changed, and he suddenly understood. The various sects in the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect were fighting for resources. At this time, the Blood Ancestor bloodline, which was originally very powerful, had suddenly lost 2 experts of the 5th Void realm. Even the Blood Ancestor, its pillar, was trapped in the universe battlefield. They could not escape for the time being. At this time, the Blood Ancestor bloodline only had the support of Master Ancient Wheel. And how could the other factions of the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect give up this rare opportunity?